A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
It's a crime, Mr. Collins.
It surely is. After all, if your husband was a famous private detective, wouldn't you expect him to take a case where you were the client? Yes, it's Gail Collins here. I'll be back in a moment to set the stage for our puzzling crime.
It's a crime, Mr. Collins. You know, you've hit on something I've always wanted to know, Mrs. Collins. Does the wife of a private detective ever have need of her husband's professional services?
Jack, the kind of crazy things that happen to Greg and me, I always seem to need him. For instance, you take New York. There's a city with something like 10 million people. Greg and I had gone there for a holiday to see the shows and such. Just 2 people in 10 million. Well, a day or two before we were due to go home, I went downtown to do a little shopping. I was getting on down towards Fifth Avenue, and I guess I must have been daydreaming, because the next thing I knew, I'd started to cross the street, and there was a great big policeman bawling me out at the top of his voice.
Hey, lady! Hey, lady!
Who? Me?
I know you probably can't read or anything, so that's why we put those pretty colored lights up there for you.
Lights? Oh, lights.
What do you think that red is? A new shade of lipstick? Now get back on the curb before you get killed.
Oh, I'm sorry I didn't notice the lights.
But traffic, thank you. The bottom of it's hard. Okay, you guys, get moving.
Well, you can imagine how I felt in front of all those people. I stood there and burned. And I guess that's why I can't tell you exactly what happened next. All I know is the heavy truck started to roar across the intersection. I turned my head away from the fumes. There was a movement in the crowd beside me, and suddenly...
Look out, you fool! You'll be under that truck!
It happened in a second. 1 minute it was a street scene. The next it was a tragedy. A man dead. Well, I gave my name as a witness, and then went home to Greg.
What a rotten way to end your holiday, honey.
He grabbed at my coat as he fell. Oh, Greg, maybe if I'd been a little faster, I could have saved him.
You didn't even see the guy until it was too late.
I don't suppose so. Anyway, a man on the other side of him tried to help, but he missed too.
You say, this guy, the one who went under the truck, grabbed at you?
Uh-huh. I felt him tug at my coat.
You're lucky he didn't pull you under with him.
I hadn't thought of that.
Well, now, let's all forget about it. We'll take ourselves downtown to the best restaurant we can find. We'll enjoy ourselves, and when we get back, it'll be over, huh?
All right.
That's a good. How fast can you change?
Quarter of an hour?
I'll time you. By the way, I'm sending you a couple of suits for dry cleaning. You got anything to go?
Oh, that coat on the chair, I guess, and this costume I'm wearing, too.
I'll call for a bellhop now. They'll be ready in the morning. Now, hurry. I'm starving to death. Got any ideas where you want to go, Gail?
Oh, not a one. I'd be just as happy walking down Broadway until we saw something we liked.
Okay, please yourself. Only if I pass out, send for some Bernard dog with some pliers. I'm hungry.
We won't go far. Oh!
I beg your pardon. I do beg your pardon. I'm afraid I wasn't looking.
Oh, it's quite all right. It was my fault,
But
too.
I walked right into you, and I'm no lightweight. I don't know what I could have been dreaming about. So very careless.
Odd man.
I thought he was going to give you the Purple Heart. Come to look at him, he is a hefty guy.
Greg. I know him.
Yeah?
He was the one, Greg. The one I told you tried to pull the man back.
The guy who fell under the truck?
Yes. And that fat man tried to grab hold of him.
Well, that proves what I always said. New York's one of the smallest cities in the world. And this is your Broadway and it's my Broadway, but I wouldn't care if you gave it back to the Indians.
It certainly is crowded tonight. Oh, it's exciting, though. All those theater advertisements.
Take a look at that one up there. Marilyn Monroe with a 30-foot waist, etc.
Greg Collins, you just keep your eye... Oh!
I beg your pardon, miss. I'm sorry, very sorry.
What were you saying, honey?
Greg, it was him.
Who? What's the matter?
The man who was at the accident. The man at the hotel. He just bumped into me again.
Honey, I keep telling you, even if there are 10 million people here, it's not unusual to meet the same guy twice.
It's been 3 times, and I don't like it.
Well, 3 times then, so what?
I guess I'm unreasonable. I've had a bad day.
Ah, look, there's a sign I know across the street.
The steak club. I know it, too.
You get a steak there so big, they just take the horns off and serve it to you.
It's just what I need. Let's cross over.
Wait for the traffic, Mrs. Collins.
Sorry I've been such a bore, Greg. Just isn't my day.
Like a dame. On holidays she goes to pieces. When we're working...
Greg!
Hey, what are you trying to do? Kill yourself?
Greg, I almost went under that car.
It's all right, honey. It's okay.
You want to be careful, young lady. Those cars are lethal.
Okay, Buster, just leave it alone. Say, what goes on here?
It's the same man again. It was the same man, all right. Fat and pink and smiling. But I could tell from the way Greg went tense. He was getting set to wipe that smile off. So keep your ears pinned, friends. We'll be back in a moment with more of our story. 4 times I'd met this man, all in the space of a few hours. I was sure it was no coincidence. And I knew Greg didn't think so either.
You should take better care of the little lady, my friend. She almost fell in front of that car.
Well, there's one way to say it. Push might be another.
Now, that's hardly fair. It was me saved her. If I hadn't grabbed you, madam, well, imagine for yourself.
Suppose you come down out of the clouds and tell us what the game is.
Game? I don't get you.
We run into you 3 times inside 45 minutes. The average is too high for coincidence.
Okay, so I call a cop and we can talk to him about it. You see, it all looks pretty hopeless, doesn't it, son?
And then he just drifted away in the crowd, and there was nothing Greg could do to stop him. Well, there was no point in going hungry because of Mr. X. Greg said he wouldn't talk about him until after we'd eaten. And we were both down to the last cubic inch of steak before he started.
That right, Gail? The first time you saw him was today at the accident?
That's right. I told you all about it.
You tell me again.
A man was killed by a truck, and Mr. X was there. In fact, a man was standing between us.
You sure?
Of course I'm sure. Poor guy who fell grabbed at my coat as he went. I swung around, and there was Mr. X. I could tell from the way he was standing he'd try to save the man. Or maybe he'd pushed.
What did Mr. X do after the accident?
He ran out to where the man was lying on the street.
Was he the first one there?
I think he was. Well, yes, he was. He seemed to think so quickly compared to the rest of... Greg.
What?
Here. Oh, no, don't turn around. He just walked into the restaurant.
Oh, honey, look, forget him for a moment. Pretend he's not here.
How can I?
I want to know what Mr. X did right after the accident, when he ran out into the street.
He ran his hands over the man's body. He felt his pulse, and then he put his hand inside his coat and felt his heart.
Now, answer me this. Could he have been searching the man's clothing?
He could have, but... Well, yes, he could have.
Okay, fine. Now, let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
You're going back to the hotel. I'm going to handle Mr. X my own way. And there's a car waiting right at the door. Hi, detective.
Greg, I don't want to go. I want to come with you.
Now, be a good girl and let's not fight.
You want this gap up?
I want you to take this lady to the Ambassador Hotel.
But where are you going?
I'm going to wander around New York.
Oh, Greg Collins.
Mr. X can't follow both of us, right?
I guess not.
So I'm going to give him the chance to follow me. And when I've given him enough rope to hang himself, I'm going to pull the knot. Now, will you get in the cab, honey? He's coming.
Greg, phone me soon. And don't take any risks.
Risks? Me? If anyone says I take risks, it's a free, Mrs. Connell.
So Greg started to walk Broadway. that great white way they write songs about. And always, a couple of steps behind him, was Mr. X. He'd given up any pretense of disguising the fact that he was following Greg. The question was, what was he after? Greg figured he'd find out in Mr. X's own good time. So he walked up and down for hours, waiting for Mr. X to tell him what was on his mind. Then, about 11 o'clock, he decided to call me as he'd promised.
Ambassador Hotel here. Good evening.
It's Greg Collins here. Would you put me through to Mrs. Collins, please? Room 1612.
One moment, please.
Mr. X. Who would that guy think he is following me around? My conscience?
Hello? Who's this speaking, please?
I want room 1612. This is Collins here.
This is room 1612. Who do you want to speak to, Mr. Collins?
I want to talk to my wife. Who else?
Your wife? Well, there must be some mistake, Mr. Collins. Your wife isn't here. She hasn't been here all evening.
And that was when Greg went haywire. He slammed the receiver down and dived out of the telephone booth, ready to shake Mr. X until his teeth rattled. Only there was no Mr. X. He'd gone. With no Mr. X to shake, Greg was really in a spot. He put me in a cab and sent me back to the hotel, and I hadn't arrived. So, what to do? His first idea was to call the police. His second idea was to hold off, wait until Mr. X played a card. So, he went back to our hotel room to wait. But he didn't have to, because when he opened the door and stepped on the light, there was Mr. X.
So, you finally got here, Collins. I wondered when you would.
You're the guy I've been looking for. Where's my wife?
Keep your temper, Collins. If you feel like getting rough, remember I'm armed. See?
Now listen, fat face.
And let's not waste time being pleasant. I'll set your mind at rest right now, Collins. Your wife's safe.
Where is she?
That kind of information I sell.
Sell? The only information I can afford to buy is written on a bus ticket. The bit that says not transferable.
I don't want money. I want to know who you're working for.
I don't work for anyone. I'm self-employed.
It'll pay you not to try to evade my questions.
Now, who are you? What's the idea of following me and my wife around all night?
I felt it necessary to impress on you that your actions were not unobserved. That you're not dealing with fools. Also, since I can now tell you that cab you hired was driven by one of my men, you'll understand that we're very well organized. So now, let us proceed to business.
Okay, pal.
Whatever price you've been offered, I'm prepared to pay double.
Price for what? Who cares anyhow? Anything I've got you can have for double.
Let's be frank. I offer you double the price.
The cost of this is crazy. Just send my wife back. That's enough.
Of course, that's understood. We had to get hold of her to make sure she'd passed my property on to you.
And she said she had.
You don't deny it?
Anything my wife says I've got, I've got.
In that case, give it to me now.
No. You're rushing the deal, buddy-duddy. There's a little matter of my wife. She has to be returned in good order and condition, like she was when you collected it.
I'm prepared to have her here in 2 hours, if you will undertake to return my property.
And what are you wasting time for? Get her here.
Very well. But remember, please, there is often a slip betwixt the cup and the lip. Don't try to double-cross me. Oh, by the way, have you examined my property?
No. No. What business is it of mine?
Excellent. Well, let me warn you not to do so. It would not be in the interests of Mrs. Collins. You see, I have her interests at heart, Collins. I hope you have, too. I'll be back in 2 hours, Mr. Collins. I hope you're waiting for me.
Now, look, the fact is I don't have any idea what you... Oh, for Pete's sake, what goes on? I haven't got that guy's property. Gail must have told him that to gain time. Maybe something was sent here to us.
A desk here, Mr. Collins.
Could you tell me, please, as a parcel or Or maybe a letter or anything like that arrived here for either me or Mrs. Collins?
No, sir. Nothing's come here for you.
I see. Okay, thanks. That's fine. Now what? He's back. Well, that settles it. I never knew a situation yet. A thump in the air didn't help. Now, see here, fat boy.
Mr. Collins?
Yeah. Collins?
You ever seen this card before, Mr. Collins?
Let's see. The FBI.
That's right. Mind if I close the door?
Oh, boy, am I glad to see you guys.
Glad, Mr. Collins.
Yeah, it's about my wife. She's missing.
Missing? How missing, Mr. Collins?
What do you mean, how? I'm not talking about her engine. I'm talking about her whole chassis. It's missing. Isn't that plain?
You reported this to the local police?
No. I haven't, not yet.
Explain to me if I'm wrong, but I find it rather interesting. I mean, the fact that your wife's missing just when I want to talk to her.
What's wrong?
I want to talk to her about a guy named Regan.
She doesn't know any Regan.
Funny. He left your room about 3 minutes ago.
His name was Regan?
And you didn't know it, huh? Now, that is strange. He had a pass key to your room.
Yeah, I know that, but he stole it.
You reported that to the police?
No, I haven't. Well, how can I report to the police when it...
Go on.
Nothing. What did you want to see Gail about?
She was witness to an accident today. She gave a name to the police.
That's right, yeah.
Well, he wanted to question her about the guy who was killed. Now, I've seen for myself how pally you and this Regan guy are. I'm interested.
Why? Is there some law against Regan?
The man who was killed today, pal, was an FBI man. He was carrying evidence, important evidence. But it wasn't on him after he was killed.
I see.
The evidence was interesting to a certain guy named Regan. Your pal.
You got something on Regan?
Not without that evidence, Collins.
Are you sure your man had it?
I didn't come here to answer questions. What time do you expect Mrs. Collins back?
I don't expect her back until the morning.
How's that? Visiting her poor old mother?
I just don't expect her back, that's all.
Okay. I'll call on her tomorrow.
Hey, before you go... Were you the guy who answered the phone when I called earlier tonight?
That's right. Why?
I'm taking a survey. I want to know how many people are using my hotel room when I'm away.
Tomorrow, pal, or maybe even tonight. Just to check.
Tomorrow? Regan's coming here in 2 hours. He expects me to hand over that evidence. Tomorrow we could be dead and I can't say a word to the police.
So now Greg knew what Regan wanted from him. The evidence he was searching the FBI man for soon after he'd been run over by that truck. The evidence he believed I'd passed on to Greg. The evidence Greg had never laid eyes on. Oh, it was a Jim Dandy setup. And in a moment we'll bring you the climax of the case. In 2 hours, Regan was coming back for the evidence he thought Greg had. The evidence I'd told him Greg had. Greg, of course, couldn't tell the police anything because Regan was holding me. And even though Greg was pretty sure I was only stalling for time, he started to search our room just in case. An hour and a half later, it looked like a high wind had passed through, but no evidence. Which was when he started to pace the floor.
Regan must be sure she has that evidence. Oh, it's crazy. She... Just forget about whether it's crazy or not. Why does Regan think so? Gail never laid eyes on him before, so why does he think she's got the evidence? It doesn't make sense. Let's start again. There's the FBI man. He's walking along the street behind Gail. She stops. He stops. Regan stops. And then... That's it. That's the only way it could have happened.
Now Greg had a bee in his bonnet, and 2 minutes later he was down at the reception desk of the hotel, trying to get some sense out of the sleepy desk clerk.
My name's Collins. I'm in room 1612.
Yes, Mr. Collins. I know you.
Earlier this evening, sometime before dinner, I sent a pile of clothes down to be dry cleaned.
Yes, sir.
I want them back. I want them back now.
Oh, I'm sure they haven't been done yet, sir. The dry cleaning staff went home.
I don't care when the dry cleaning staff went home. I want my clothes.
Oh, are you checking out or something?
I'm not checking out or anything. I want my clothes now.
But the dry cleaning room is all locked up.
Then open it.
Oh, well, sir, I don't know that we can exactly do that. After all, if all our guests came down in the middle of the night wanting to get into the dry cleaning room, where would we be?
Well, you'd probably lock them in and rent their rooms to someone else.
I can see that you're a man with a sense... Why, what are you doing with that ruler?
I'm going to measure your head with it.
Oh, don't. Put it down. That's ebony.
Do I get that room opened? Or do you get this on the head, Bud? I'm in a hurry.
The dry cleaning room, sir. Just come this way, sir. We'll have it opened immediately. I really shouldn't be away from my desk. What if someone comes in?
I suppose they steal the hotel. Who cares? It'll be no use to them unless they got it across the border.
This is the room, and please hurry. Now, the clothes to be cleaned are all thrown on a table in the middle of the room. I'll turn the light on for you.
There they are. That pile on top. They're what I'm looking for.
Well, if you'll just kindly bundle them up and get out of here.
Don't worry, I'm not taking them with me. I just want something from one of the pockets.
If it's something valuable, sir, it would have been returned to you in the morning.
In the morning? Buster, that would have been too late. By morning, you'd have had 2 corpses on your hands.
Corpses?
As in delicti. Okay. I've got what I came for. Let's get out of here.
Another 2 minutes and Greg was in his room again. His watch said he had 10 minutes to wait. But Regan was already there with a so-called cab driver and me.
So you're back, Mr. Collins. For one moment, I thought you'd run out on us.
Oh, Greg, I've been so frightened.
Just stay on this side of the room, Mrs. Collins. You keep away from me, you great mutt.
Just as soon as our business is completed, I'll be happy to get out of your lives forever. Until then, Mrs. Collins stays where she is.
So you're still toting that gun, huh?
A small precaution.
Greg, explain to him we haven't the faintest
Hold
idea.
it, Gail.
Mr. whatever your name is, we just don't know what it is I'm supposed to have stolen.
What's that?
Mr. Regan, don't listen to her. She doesn't know what she's talking
You
about.
know my name.
Sure, I know your name. And I think I've got what you want.
Hand it over.
Take it. 1 spool of film.
Film? Where did that come from?
From you, honey, from you.
You're a good actress, Mrs. Collins. Luckily, your husband realizes I'm not a man to be trifled with. Well, thank you for this film, Collins. It means a lot to me. You may now take delivery of your wife.
Greg, where are
Save it, honey.
We're on our way, Collins. Trust we don't meet again. Oh, by the way, do you know what's on this spool of film? I'll tell you. Evidence that'd send me up the river for a long, long time. They give you a lot of years for tax fraud in this country.
So where does the spool of film come in?
It's a microfilm of the records of my nightclub business. The records the tax department doesn't see.
In that case, maybe I better take it, Regan.
What the...
Greg, it's the police.
Watch him, he's got a gun!
That's all there was in it. 1 shot and 1 scream. Mr. Regan's shooting hand gave him trouble for a couple of months, where the bullet hit him. Otherwise, no one was hurt. The FBI men took possession of Regan, the spool of film, and the phony cab driver. And after the shouting and the fuss from the desk clerk had quietened down, there was Greg, grinning like an alligator.
So what do you say about your husband now, huh? Is he bright enough?
Greg Collins, I'm so mad I could spit chips. You had what Regan was looking for all the time. You must have. That spool of film, you must have had it.
Darling, you had it. I never laid eyes on it until about 2 minutes before I saw you in here with Regan.
Oh, don't talk nonsense. I'd never seen that film until...
I know you hadn't seen it, but you had it. Look, remember what you said about the FBI man, the one who went under the truck?
What did I say about him?
You said he grabbed at your coat as he fell.
Well, he did.
He didn't grab at it. He had his hand in your pocket.
What?
He knew Regan was tailing him. He had to get rid of that film somehow. The way I figure it, he was working undercover, and the time wasn't right to reveal his identity, so he got rid of the film. Honey, I must have been right. The spool of film was in the pocket of that coat you sent for dry cleaning.
But how? I mean, how did you figure that out?
Simple enough. I asked myself why Regan should pick on you as the one who had the film. He must have had some reason. The reason was you were standing next to the FBI man. He wouldn't just throw the film away. He must have passed it on. That made you the only logical contender.
I just don't know what to say. If you hadn't worked things out the way you did. Oh, Greg.
Oh, come here. Now, what do you think this thing is on my shoulder?
Oh, it's the face again.
It's a head. And inside that head, it ain't sawdust, you know. It's a brain, Mrs. Collins.
Don't go away. In just a moment, we'll be back with you.
Venture, the last film. Be sure to visit us next time for another puzzle in murder. For where there is crime and romance, there you'll find Mr.
And Mrs. Collins.
I deal in crime.
The American Broadcasting Company presents I Deal in Crime, starring William Gargan as Ross Dolan.
This is Ross Dolan speaking from one of the ringside tables at the Rose Room Dance Palace. Yeah, you guessed it. 50 beautiful hostesses. Count them, 50. If you're wondering what I'm doing in a spot where they tap you a dime for a 2-time whirl around a small floor, it's because somebody gave me a lifetime pass. Also because a man named William Davis came to see me. William A. Davis, if you please. He was one of those stuffy little bus budgets, about 50 years old, and tried to cling to a dull youth by brushing his thin hair over a rapidly spreading bald spot. He walked into my office one bright afternoon and said,
Mr. Dolan, you're a detective. I want you to find my daughter for me.
Sure, Mr. Sit down.
I haven't time. My name is Davis. William Davis. William A. Davis.
Well, glad to meet you. My name is Dolan. Ross Dolan. The only second name my father gave me I got when I broke the mirror in the front parlor.
I have no time for levity, Mr. Dolan.
Oh.
Naturally, since my daughter has disappeared, I've been quite concerned, even a trifle distraught, if I may say so.
Oh, say anything you want.
I live up in Mission Valley. Lived there for 20 years. And one day last week, my daughter simply disappeared.
How old is your daughter, Mr. Davis?
She's 17. A dangerous age.
Yes.
Also, you'll find her self-willed. You may have trouble bringing her back.
Uh-huh. Any boyfriends, Mr. Davis?
I know of none. I've prepared a sort of brochure on Jacqueline. Pictures a complete history, so you'd have something to work on. Here.
Oh, thanks. She's a pretty kid, isn't she?
Yes. Let us discuss your fee, Mr. Dolan. My ceiling is $5 per day.
$5 a day? Mr. Davis, you better either raise your ceiling or lower your floor. You're talking to the wrong man.
I'm a sporting man, Mr. Dolan. I'll make you a proposition. If you find Jacqueline, $500. If you don't, nothing. Of course, I'll pay your expenses.
Mm-hmm. I think I'll take you up on that, Mr. Davis.
Yes, I thought so. You have a reputation for being quite a gambler.
Thanks. I presume her mother is quite concerned, too?
I don't know, Mr. Dolan. Also, I don't care.
William A. Davis hiked out of there like an upstate Napoleon on his way to Josephine. I settled down to the more serious job of finding a 17-year-old girl in a big city, and it turned out to be tough. The Missing Persons Bureau gave me no leads. Neither did the hospitals. I called and asked more questions than a quizmaster at a lawn party, and finally wound up with a pretty, nice, round goose egg. I decided to beat it down the street. But the minute I left the building, I got that uncomfortable feeling around the collar. I walked a block and looked around. I had a tail. I kept going towards the next corner. I rounded the corner and stopped. My pal was close behind me. He was a big, beefy bird, but I stopped him. Oh, pardon me.
Hey, why don't you look where you...
Uh-oh. What's the matter, Pally? Afraid you'll miss the bus?
I'm not on my way to missing any buses.
Maybe not, but you sure missed the boat.
Get out of my way, mister. I'm in a hurry.
Sure, you're in a hurry. So am I.
Hey, what are you doing? What are you pulling it on my arm?
Maybe I ought to snap it for you.
My arm. Cut it out, will you?
Sure, Pally. As soon as you tell me why you were following me.
I wasn't following you, mister.
Change your mind, Pally?
My arm. My arm. The guy told me to tell you. There was a guy on that corner back there. He gave me $5.
You're lying, Pally.
Yeah, I'll tell. He was a lawyer. His name was Clemson. He's in the Ryan building.
Uh-huh. What do you want?
I don't know. Just wanted me to follow you. Tell him where you went, that's all. Can I, go now?
Yeah, you're going, Pally, with me. If this is another of your feeble fabrications, I'll really give you something to scream about. The character and I walked over to the Ryan building a couple of blocks away, rode up to the offices of Edgar Clemson, attorney at law. We walked right past a cute little secretary who was busy hiking her nylons up to sea level.
Just a moment, sir. You can't go in there.
Who said so, sister? Come on, you.
Okay.
You, Clemson?
How did you get in here? Who are you?
I got in through the door. My name's Dolan. I brought you something.
What do you want? I'm busy.
I brought your tail back, Clemson. Next time, get a guy who's a little smaller than a two-car garage and a little smarter than a Ubangi.
Really, Mr. Dolan, I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't go spreading that around, Clemson, because I know better. You hired this mug here to follow me. He says so.
Follow you? Really, Dolan, I'm engaged in the practice of law, not a scavenger hunt.
One more crack like that, mouthpiece, and I'll twist your trumpet. The next time you put this dumb lug on my tail, I'll mail you back his arm.
Now, listen here, Dolan, I got... Quiet. You're under the impression you're pretty tough, aren't you, Dolan?
Suppose I am.
Just remember that I'm a lawyer, Dolan. You get tough with me, and I'll tenderize you like a $2 ham. Now, get out of here.
It would have been a pleasure to hang one on Clemson, but the percentage was against me. Then I remembered the story of that Greek hero, the one with the weak heel. I figured Clemson might have a weak heel, too. He did, and I was kind of sorry about calling her a heel. It was Charlotte Crandall, Clemson's secretary. I promptly picked her up and just as promptly sat her down again, in one of those cozy spots.
Sure was nice of you to take me out for cocktails, Mr. Dolan.
Oh, don't mention it, Charlotte. When I saw those nylons, I was a gone gosling.
Oh, I'll bet you say that to all the girls.
All the girls I know don't have nylons.
They don't? Gee, it sure is swell in here, Mr. Dolan. I've never been here before.
Where do your boyfriends usually take you?
Well, lately they've all been taking me home.
That's so.
I guess because they don't make much money.
Or else they're smarter than... say, how's your boss?
Boy, was he mad at Butch, the guy who followed you.
I can imagine. Butch do a lot of work for Clemson?
Just where Lucky Maxwell's concerned.
Lucky Maxwell. Don't remember him.
Lucky isn't a he, Mr. Dolan. He's a she.
No.
She's one of Mr. Clemson's best clients. And you know something?
No, what?
She runs a diamond dance place. It's called the Rose Room.
Must take it in some evening.
Oh, I don't think you'd like it. It costs a dime every time you dance with a girl. Besides, I dance with you free.
Maybe you got something, Charlotte. Have another...
One of my boyfriends is coming over.
Well, don't worry, Charlotte. One night this week, you and I'll go out. I'll show you the sights.
Okay. Make it anything but the zoo. I've seen that 7 times this month.
Anything but the zoo.
Hey,
okay.
Hey, Miss Crandall, Mr. Clemson wants you right away. He sent me to look for you.
Isn't it kind of funny you came to exactly the same place?
Mr. Clemson said I couldn't talk to you, Dolan. Come on, Miss Crandall. Mr. Clemson is kind of mad.
Okay, I'm going. Goodbye, Mr. Dolan. See you later.
Yeah, kid. Well, I guess I better beat it, too.
The boss sent for me to tell you something, Dolan.
Yeah, what?
Lay off his secretary.
or he'll nail your hide to your own front door.
I paid the bill and got out of the spot. I wandered downtown a little deeper, where the stores have open fronts and the proprietors wear only shirts and try to coax you inside. I killed time until it was dark, and then I went for an evening of dancing at the Rose Room. I walked between a garish sign that advertised 50 beautiful hostesses. 50. Best music in town. So I walked up the rickety steps, laid down a couple of bucks, took my 20 tickets, and hiked in. I walked over to the check room. I saw a girl behind the counter who took my breath away. She smiled at me.
Well, customer, check your hat.
Yeah.
Number 711, mister, for you. That's lucky.
Yeah. You stand back there all the time, or do you ever come out?
Oh, for a good customer, sometimes I come out.
Oh, I'm a good customer.
Well, that's what they all say. Dan?
Well, why not?
Well, come on, customer.
Yeah.
Give me your ticket. I'll have to have another ticket.
That was a dance? Why, I only got a chance to do 3 steps.
Well, up here, mister, you gotta be quick.
You said it. How about sitting at one of those tables?
Sure. Give me $1.
$1 for sitting?
Yeah, for 15 minutes. $3 for an hour.
Holy smoke. What does a poor guy do around here?
Well, he goes to a movie and saves his money. Want to sit?
Yeah, and at that price, those chairs better be upholstered in platinum.
Oh, how's this?
Swell. Have something?
Management says no. You can, though.
Oh, thanks. Maybe I can't afford it.
Say, who are you, mister? I've seen you places.
Name's Dolan. Mean anything?
Like the name, though. Wish I could stay.
Yeah. What about that babe out there in the blue dress?
Oh, you mean Jackie. She's popular.
Too bad.
Oh, of course, if you'd like to meet her, I can fix it.
Would you? Fix it, I mean.
Sure. I'll send her over. See you later, Dolan.
I watched my erstwhile girlfriend walk out on the floor, say something to the kid in the blue dress, who I knew was Jacqueline Davis. Then she ankled back to her check room while Jacqueline came towards me. She and the band made it at the same moment.
Well, hello.
Hello.
You want to dance? Or sit?
Let's try one, huh?
That's what we're paid for. You're pretty good.
Thanks. Jackie?
Oh, you know my name. Who told you?
The doll in the check room.
She did?
Yeah.
Why are we dancing toward the door? It's crowded over there.
We're going places, kid.
You got me wrong, mister. I don't leave the place.
Oh, yes, I think you do. You're Jacqueline Davis, aren't you?
So what?
So your old man's looking for you. He's playing me a nice fat fee to bring you home. So we're walking over to the door. We're leaving, you and me.
I won't go. And you can't make me.
You're 17. Either you go with me now or I'll be back with a writ and shut this place up.
I'm 18.
Cut it out, kid. I know better. Come on, and don't say anything to anybody.
Just a minute, mister. What goes?
The girl. I'm taking her out.
Oh, no, you're not. We don't permit girls to leave with the customers. You're in the wrong place.
I'm in the right place. The kid's only 17. Her old man's looking for her.
So?
You want any more than that?
No, beat it. And mister, don't come back.
Okay.
What makes you think you can get away with this?
I don't think. Hustle it, kid. Your old man's waiting.
I won't go back, and you can't make me.
If you were my kid and you talked that way, I'd paddle you until you put on your stocking standing up for a week. Here's a cab. Get in.
Okay.
In, kid.
Hey, Jackie, what goes?
Mike, my father sent him. He's after me.
Get in here, mister. The dame stays out.
What do you think you're pulling? I'll get your license for this.
Don't make me laugh. I don't have a license for a gun. Get in.
Okay.
You
Get upstairs, Jackie, and get Sammy.
I don't have to. Here he comes now.
Sit still, Dick. As soon as Sammy gets here, we're leaving. Oh, is Sammy going along?
I see you caught him. Get going, Mike, out the post road. I got something for this monkey.
Why, Sammy, are you talking about me?
Shut up.
We headed out of town fast. I took a look at Sammy, the dance hall bouncer, and I didn't like what I saw. He had those tight little lines around his mouth and a cold gleam in his eye. He didn't say a word until we got about 10 miles out. Then in a nice, quiet spot, he opened up.
Pull up, Mike. This is it.
Okay, Sammy. I suppose this is where you make with the bang-bang and the body in the bushes?
No, we're just taking you for this little jaunt to teach you a lesson.
How nice of you, Pally. Do I get a diploma?
Just be happy you don't get a hit in the head, Dolan. You're mixed up in something that doesn't concern you. Stay out of it.
Who's going to make me?
Several people. Next time we have to ride you out of town, you'll be a lot unhappier. Now get out.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean you took me for this nice ride and now I have to walk home?
You sure do, Dolan. And the next time I have to take you for a ride, you won't have to walk.
Oh, nice.
They'll bring you back in a basket.
The cab door slammed and my two pals got away from there fast. There was only one thing for me to do, and that was to start walking. It was late, there were no cars, and I figured I could make it to the nearest car line by morning. By that time, Jackie Davis could be on her way to China. Hey, how about a lift to town?
Where are you going, mister?
Back to town. Can you help me out?
Climb in, Sonny.
Thanks.
Hey, what are you doing way out here this time of night, Sonny?
My doctor told me to take long walks, only tonight I overdid it. The old man edged away from me as though I were a psychopathic case, but he did run me into town. He chugged right down to the corner opposite the Rose Room where he let me out. I walked across the street and hid in a dark doorway next door to the main entrance. It was 10 minutes to 12. I made it just in time because Jacqueline Davis was coming down the steps with Sammy.
Don't be silly, kid. I just took him for a long ride and make him walk back.
But are you sure he's not around?
Not unless he flew back. He's got a long walk, kid. Now, don't worry about a thing.
I hope nothing goes wrong, Sammy. My father hired him to bring me back.
I know. Now forget it, will you, Jackie? Here comes Mike right on the button. Get in, Jackie. I'll ride home with you.
Thanks. I'm kind of scared.
Hey, anybody tell you, Mike?
I'm clean. Jackie, Sammy, and the driver drove out of there in a hurry. I got a cab and followed. They pulled up in an apartment house. I watched while the girl got out and ran in. Sammy and Mike drove off. I left my cab and walked to the apartment house door. I was surprised to see the name Maxwell on the mailbox. I pushed the button, and half a minute later, I was knocking on a door.
Come on in, Sammy. You sure got back fast, Sammy. I sure... Oh.
Not old kid. The name's Dolan. Come on, you're leaving.
I won't go. I'll yell for help.
Go ahead. I'll explain that I'm taking a 17-year-old kid back to her old man.
Yes, and you don't know what you're doing. If Sammy was here, he'd show you.
If Sammy was here, I'd give him a nut on the head. Now, drop the talk, kid, and let's get out of here. I wasted enough time on you.
Mr. Dolan, please, can't I stay here?
No, come on. Uh-oh. Here comes trouble.
Oh, hiya, Jackie. Mr. Clemson sent me over to keep an eye on you, so I am.
I'm glad you came, Butch. Look, it's him.
I know, but I can't talk to him. Mr. Clemson says so.
Thanks, pal. Now, get out of the way. We're in a hurry.
No, Butch, he wants to take me back to my father.
Oh, you can't do that, Dolan. Mr. Clemson says for her to wait.
Out of the way, dopey.
I don't like being called a dope, see?
For the second time, out of the way, dopey.
I just remembered I don't like you very much, Dolan.
That's too bad. Now, come on, kid. We got things to do. We went back downtown for two reasons. One, to get my car, and two, to tell old Davis I'd found his daughter. I called Davis on the phone.
You've got her? You've actually found her?
Sure, Mr. Davis. What now?
Bring her up here.
At this hour of the night?
How soon can you leave?
In about 10 minutes.
Good. You can make it in an hour. Take the post road.
The post road?
Yes, it's faster that way.
You know how to get to Mission Valley by the post road, Jackie?
Even if I did, I wouldn't tell you.
Okay, kid. Here's my car. I'll find the way.
Wait a second, Dolan. You're not getting in there.
Well, if it isn't Sammy the Bouncer. Been riding any more characters out to the sticks?
Don't be gay, Dolan. Just get back up to your apartment. Jackie isn't going back to her old man, see?
Yeah, Pally, I see. And I see a gun right here in my mitt. Now, we'll see how well you're loaded.
No, you don't.
Oh, yes, I do. I might be sorry if I didn't take precautions. There. Well, a neat heater you're carrying, chum. 38. Pretty man-sized for a lad like you, so I think I'll take it.
Doesn't make any difference. Mike is waiting outside the garage door.
I'm not playing duck on a rock for any smart mouth, Pally. Get in the car with the kid.
What for?
Get in and hurry it.
Let me see you get past Mike at the door, Dolan.
I'm not getting past. You're doing that for me.
Uh-uh.
On the contrary, because if you don't, this will go off right in your face. Sammy had a lot of nerve, but the gun scared him. We drove out the door. Sammy said the correct thing, and I waved gaily at Mike and beat it out of town. I remembered how kind Sammy had been to me, so exactly 10 miles out, I dumped him off to hoof it back to town. I don't think he liked it. We'll be there in 10 minutes, kid. I'm sorry I had to let Sammy out so far back.
You think you're so smart. You just wait.
Hey, look at that chump coming up behind us without lights. Hey, you, turn on your lights. A cream-colored sedan had sneaked up behind us, and as it passed, a series of stabbing flames shot out of the window. One of the bullets hit my front tire, and I wheeled off into the ditch. I sat there for 5 minutes, but the car never came back. He must have been positive that he got us. I changed the tire, and 10 minutes after that, led the girl into the Davis living room.
A splendid job, Dolan. Splendid.
Thanks, Mr. Davis.
But did I hear shots down the road a while back?
Somebody tried to shoot us off the road.
And you, my dear, did you enjoy your trip to the city?
Please, Mr. Dolan, don't leave me here. I'm scared.
Oh, what a way to speak of your own father, Jacqueline. Here, Dolan, I'll write you out a check.
Please, Mr. Dolan, he took all of Grandfather's money. The money I was supposed to get.
She's talking like a child, Dolan. Come, I'll write you a check.
Sure, you'll give him a check. You've got plenty since you drove Mother out of the house.
Jacqueline, you don't know what you're talking about.
Is that so? Mother told me everything. You stole everything Grandfather left me.
Your mother is a... Be quiet, Jacqueline.
You're just a big crook. You've always wanted everything for yourself.
Come, Dolan, I'll make you out your check.
Just a minute, Davis. Jackie, is your mother, does she work down at that joint, kid?
She owns it, Mr. Smarty. She's Lucky Maxwell.
Jacqueline, I'll teach you to run off to the city and blab to your mother.
I'm...
That'll teach you a few things.
That'll be enough of that, Davis. If you want to beat your kid, do it when I'm not around.
This is my affair. You keep out of it. I'll get your check.
Please don't leave, Mr. Dolan. He'll kill me. Honest, he will.
You be quiet, Jacqueline.
Maybe I ought to hang around, Davis.
You'll get your check and get out. That's what you'll do.
Jackie, what kind of a car does your father drive?
Why,
Jacqueline?
It's a cream-colored sedan. Mr. Dolan, you don't think...
Uh-huh. You know, Davis, I've made a mistake. I've been working for the wrong person. You drove that car tonight. You asked me to drive the post road so you could knock us off. You were playing a little murder game on the safe side.
Put up your hands, Dolan.
That's what it is. You hired me to get the kid out in the open so you could knock her off.
Too bad you ever learned to think, Dolan.
Yeah. Now you'll have to get rid of both of us, won't you?
I told you he brought her up here, Mr. Clemson. See?
Yes, we thought we'd find you here, Dolan.
Mother, what are you doing here?
Drop it, Davis. Drop the gun. Haven't you done enough?
Yeah, Mr. Davis. You're in enough trouble now.
No, you don't. This is my house, and I've got a right to defend myself against all of you. Even you, my dear.
You'd really shoot, wouldn't you?
Of course I would.
No, he won't. Give me that gun, old-timer. I said, give me that gun.
Oh, keep away. Keep away. I'll shoot again.
No, you won't, old-timer. Now, Mr. Dolan, I got something for you, too. I owe you.
That'll be enough of that, Butch.
But, boss...
That'll be enough, I said.
Thanks, Clemson.
Don't thank me, Dolan. You're in trouble. I'm going to charge you with assault. That's for hitting Butch. And for kidnapping Sammy as well as Jackie. That'll cool you off.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. For once, I was on the wrong side of the fence.
Well, nevertheless, Dolan, we heard you outside the door. By doing what you did, you probably saved Jackie's life.
Yes, Dolan, so under the circumstances, we're willing to drop any possible charges if you'll help Miss Maxwell in her suit against Davis.
I'll be glad to. Say, sister, didn't I hear Jackie call you Mother?
Naturally. I'm not her grandmother, you know.
The whole story came out then. Jackie was to be 18 in 2 days. In spite of the fact that her mother was to have her, old man Davis wanted to keep her. Then he could cover up the fact that he'd stolen most of the money left her by her grandfather. Clemson forgave me, and so did Butch. The kid, Jackie, kissed me for sticking up for her. Lucky Maxwell? Well, I talked to her a couple of days later at the Rose Room.
You look surprised, Dolan. I could have a 17-year-old daughter.
You could, sure, but you're not over 30 yourself.
Oh, thanks, Dolan. Only I'm 35.
Sister, the years rest on you like a feather. But what about this Maxwell business?
Well, Maxwell is my maiden name. He threw me out because he thought it'd make it easier for him to get his hands on the money my father left Jackie.
And all the time I thought he was on the level.
Well, naturally you would. But do you know that for a long time, even I was a virtual prisoner? When Jackie grew older, she sneaked down to see me after I'd left him.
But a joint like this?
Oh, why not? That way I could keep an eye on her. Oh, by the way, Dolan, he promised to pay you. He can't, but I can. Here, it's a check.
Oh, thanks, Lucky. You know, you should get married again. You're young.
Am I?
Oh, and you're beautiful. Like a rose. You're breathtaking.
Mm-hmm. Am I?
Now, take Clemson. He's pretty good Joe.
No, he's my lawyer. There's no romance in legal matters.
Well, someone else, then.
Sure. Let's dance. Come on.
But, I'm too young to get married.
Are you?
Besides, I left my wallet at home.
Yeah, I thought you would. Here's 10 tickets. Let's dance.
Yeah, but,
After all, what have you got to lose?
Oh, not a thing. Not a thing. Pardon me, folks, and, good night.
Don't forget to listen again next week, same time, when you will hear William Gargan say,
I deal in crime.
I Deal in Crime, starring William Gargan as Ross Dolan, is a special presentation of the American Broadcasting Company, written by Ted Hediger, directed by Leonard Rieg, with original music composed and conducted by Skitch Henderson. All characters and incidents used on this program are fictitious. Any resemblance to actual persons or incidents is purely coincidental. I Deal in Crime came to you from Hollywood. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
I was a communist for the FBI. Starring Dana Andrews in an exciting tale of danger and espionage. I was a communist for the FBI. The story you're about to hear is based on the actual records and authentic experiences of Matt Cvetic, an undercover agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who for 9 fantastic years lived as a communist for the FBI. Here is our star, Dana Andrews, as Matt Cvetic, undercover agent.
Communists, as I learned over a period of 9 miserable years, are particularly fond of children. Young minds are so susceptible to red poison. But some kids don't know what they're supposed to be susceptible to. And, as in this story, even the Reds can't convince them.
In a moment, listen to Dana Andrews as Matt Cvetic, undercover man. Here is Dana Andrews as Matt Cvetic, undercover man. This story from the confidential file is marked Hate Song.
I was alone for a change. Comrade Kettner and my other commie playmates were marking time. No new projects on the red agenda. The next cell meeting, 2 days away. I was even up to date on my reports to the FBI. Quiet hour. Sweet and blissful. Time to insulate the nerve endings. Time to forget the future. Enjoy the present. End of quiet hour. Nerves twanging like guitar strings again. Time for my past to explode in my face. Hello?
Mr. Cvetic, please.
Speaking. Who is this?
Matt?
Yes. Who is this?
Matt, it's great to hear your voice again, son.
Who is this?
Dr. Norcott, Matt, remember?
Dr. Norcott.
Now, the years haven't changed me that much, have they?
Well, Doctor. Well, this is wonderful. What in the world are you doing so far from home?
Same old thing. Plugging away for Boys Incorporated, the best kids organization in America.
Still its guiding light, huh?
Yes, sir. I'm in a rut.
Well, that's a good rut to be in.
Oh, that's agreed. I've been sent here to whip the local chapter into shape. How'd you like to help me?
Me?
Why not? You were an active recruiter back home, you know. One of the best supervisors Boys Incorporated ever had.
Well, that was years ago, Doctor.
The years haven't changed you, have they, Matt? Have dinner with me tonight, Matt. Let me tell you about our plans.
Well, tonight
Tomorrow, then, and no arguments. And I want to hear all about your life and time since I saw you last.
Dr. Norcott, #1 booster for Boys Incorporated, a nationwide organization dedicated to the welfare and cultural and physical development of American kids. Years ago, I'd helped the doctor organize our hometown chapter. Years ago, when red was just a color, and undercover meant a good night's sleep.
Yes, sir, Matthew. You were an eager beaver in those days, all right.
I confess I enjoyed every minute of it, too.
Now, tell me, what are you doing with yourself these days?
Oh, same old thing. Well, never mind about me. Boys Incorporated is much more important. What are all these big plans of yours?
Well, our chapter here has been rather slow in growing, Matt. We need more boys, more interest. And most important, we need more adults who'll be willing to work with the youngsters. Help the organization in general. We sure could use you, Matt.
Well, I'd love to do it, Doctor, but the way my time is split up now,
Oh, nonsense. There's always some time.
I'm afraid not, Doctor.
Come on.
Where?
I'm going to convince you that it's worth your time.
Well, Dr. Norcott...
Come along and no arguments, Matthew. This gym is just one portion of what this building has to offer these kids, Matt.
Look at that little guy punch that bag.
Just a few months ago, he was doing that to other kids on the street. Come on, I'll show you the rest of this place.
Hey, I wouldn't mind having a shop like this myself.
And every bit of it's free to these youngsters. Those kids, by the way, are making furniture to be used in other rooms around the building. This is just one of our music rooms, Matt.
Who's the boy playing the piano?
Pretty good, isn't he?
He's tremendous.
He'll be giving a recital for us one of these days. He's good on the low hurdles, too. And the high jump. Art, music, athletics, outdoor activities. The kids share interest in everything, Matt. If not as participants, they enjoy themselves as spectators.
It sounds like a sensible plan, all right.
It is, and it seems to work.
Things sure have progressed since I was...
But we can sure use you, Matt. We need more boys to enjoy these activities. We need adults, interested parents, men and women who will work for the organization. We need a hard-hitting local representative on the National Council. We need...
Easy, Doctor. Slow down.
I'm sorry. I guess this project is somewhat of an obsession with me. It's so big in other parts of the country. It deserves to be big here, too.
Well, Dr. Norcutt, I wish I could help.
Don't worry. There's plenty for you to do.
I can't.
What?
I can't help you, Doctor. I just can't do it. My time is so limited. My work is...
But, Matt, you must have some time.
No time at all. Oh, Doctor, it's getting late, and I have a company meeting to attend. If you'll excuse me.
All right, Matt. Don't let me keep you from your work.
Company meeting, of course, meant cell meeting. And that was still a day away. But how could I tell Dr. Norcutt that my business was treachery? My colleagues were commies. Only the FBI knew why I was doing it. But I couldn't tell Dr. Norcutt that. The next night, the Red Clan gathered at the home of our cell leader, Comrade Kettner. I was in for two surprises this evening, one of them almost pleasant. The other, true to commie form, unpleasant.
Well, comrades, you think it's about time we got this meeting underway?
I'd just as soon listen to that piano, Kettner. Who's playing?
Oh, that nephew of mine. Leo!
Don't stop it, it's fine.
Leo, come in here. No, we haven't time to cater to your bourgeois taste for culture, Semitic.
What are you calling me, Uncle Jack?
Yes, come in here.
That was surprise number one. It had never occurred to me that Kettner's nephew would be the same boy I'd seen playing the piano in the music room at Boys Incorporated. He was a shy kid, about 15 years old, and he seemed to have very little taste for his uncle's friends.
I'm not finished with my practicing.
Oh, yes, you are. No, comrades, Leo is that rare form of human. A teenage boy who enjoys playing the piano.
You play very well, Leo.
Thank you.
Yes, Leo. Perhaps you'll oblige my comrades by opening our meeting with a rendition of the Internationale.
I don't know it.
Of course you know it. Play it.
I don't know all of it. Honest.
Play it, I said. We can hear the piano in the next room. You see, comrades, discipline in musical taste is as important as physical discipline, especially in the young mind. Ah, there we are. You know the words, I trust.
Arise, ye victims of privation, for love for ye who are forlorn, for there's an end to degradation.
Leo!
What happened?
Leo, what do you think you're doing?
That's all I know, I tell you. That's all I know.
It wasn't a pretty scene, but it takes more than that to embarrass communists. In a matter of moments, Leo was forgotten, and Comrade Kettner was setting the stage for surprise number two, the unpleasant one.
Now then, Semitic, would you mind telling us what you've been doing with yourself these last 2 days?
What? I don't understand what that...
Well, you were seen in the presence of one Dr. Norcutt yesterday. You had dinner with him. You went with him to the new headquarters of Boys Incorporated.
Yes, that's right. I did.
Well, Boys Incorporated stands for everything alien to our exalted cause. I think an explanation is due.
Dr. Norcott happens to be an old friend of mine, Comrade Kettner.
I see. Mm-hmm. And you and he are old friends, eh?
Yes. In fact, he even asked me to help him recruit for that decadent organization of his. Naturally, I refused.
You refused?
Yes. Of course I refused. Why?
Cvetic, aren't you aware that the party's been trying to infiltrate that organization locally for some time?
Infiltrate Boys Incorporated?
Of course.
What are you talking about?
The young mind, comrade. The fertile, malleable, youthful mind. If we can place our comrades in key positions throughout that organization, we have access to those minds.
Just a minute. How do you expect to infiltrate that type of...
Simple, comrade, simple. Through your friendship with Dr. Norcott. Now, you say that he asked you to recruit for him. Good. You do just that. Every cell member here with an eligible child will see that that child becomes a member of Boys Incorporated.
Now, look, Kettner. I've already told Dr. Norcott that I wouldn't be able to...
I've changed your mind, Cvetic. You'll recruit us. I must confess my nephew is already a member of Boys Incorporated. His mother seems to approve of it. Now I can make it serve the party.
Suppose we do get into the organization, Kettner. What good can it do? How can we change the setup to suit us?
As I understand it, Boys Incorporated has a national council consisting of adults who represent local areas, the policymakers. Now, with a little planning, comrades, we can spearhead a drive to get me elected to the National Council of Boys Incorporated. What's the matter, Cvetic? Don't you approve?
I tell you, it's ridiculous.
Dr. Norcott is your friend, Cvetic. He's asking you to help him. It's the least you can do for a friend.
To Dana Andrews, starring as Matt Cvetic in I Was a Communist for the FBI, and the second act of our story.
The commie parasites were at work now, determined to drain every drop of decency from a great organization. This time they were disguised as eager parents of eager kids, eager to turn the facilities of Boys Incorporated into a training ground for treachery.
Matt, these past few weeks have been a revelation to me. I can't tell you how grateful I am.
Grateful for what, Doctor?
For what? Why, for the way you've increased our membership. Look at those boys. Ever see this gym so active? Wonderful youngsters. And their parents. And especially fond of that Kettner fellow. Wonderful worker, Matt. Diligent, sincere.
Yeah, Kettner's terribly sincere.
I've already spoken to him about running for the National Council.
What?
As our local representative. He seems quite willing.
Doctor, you don't want Kettner on the National Council. He's just not...
He's ideal for the job, Matt. What's more, the other adult supervisors agree with me.
I couldn't tell Dr. Norcott about Kettner or the other diligent, sincere workers. Kettner knew how close I was with the doctor. He'd know instantly how Norcott learned the truth. And if that happened, the FBI would be out one undercover man. I left the doctor in the gym and wandered through the halls of the building, trying to figure some way to get the truth across to Norcott. I passed the woodworking rooms, buzzing with activity, the art department, pungent with the aroma of oils and the sweet smell of crayons. The music rooms were dark as I approached them, but one of them was occupied. I paused at the open door and squinted through the gloom. Seated at the piano, alone, pecking dispiritedly at the keys, was Leo Kettner. It's all right, Leo. I was just wondering who was in here.
I was just going home anyway.
No, stay. It's all right. Wasn't that the Internationale you were playing?
You ought to know. You're one of them.
One of what?
My uncle's comrades. I'll see you later.
Now, wait a minute. You don't like your uncle's comrades, do you?
No. Mom doesn't either. There's nothing we can do about it. Uncle Jack is supporting us.
I see. You haven't been very active around here lately. I haven't seen you working out on the track. Or on the piano either, for that matter.
Why should I?
Why shouldn't you?
Here's why I shouldn't. That's why. You and Uncle Jack and your comrades all over the place.
Dr. Norca doesn't seem to mind.
I know. I thought he was a decent guy.
What do you mean?
You heard me. He's just like the rest of you.
What? You think Dr. Norca
Well, isn't he? You ought to know. He even gets my uncle nominated to run for the National Council. And he wants me to play piano for the program on election night.
It seems to me all you'd have to do is tell the other supervisors what you know about your uncle and...
Oh, sure. Where would Mom and I go after that? Excuse me, it's late. Mom will be home from work soon.
Oh, Leo. Now, look, son, maybe if you...
Listen, Mr. Svetic. The official boys' code tells us we gotta respect our elders. But it doesn't tell us how to respect communists. So leave me alone.
All right, comrades. Let's bring the meeting to order. Now, first of all, a progress report on our work within Boys Incorporated. As you know, the good Dr. Norcott has nominated me for the election to the National Council.
Do you think you'll win that election, Comrade Kettner?
I must win, Svetic. Having progressed this far, the party will not tolerate a defeat. There's only one way I could possibly lose now. If Dr. Norcott, or any of the other voters, should learn our true purpose, if they were to discover that I were working for our exalted red cause... But I'm sure that won't happen. Will it, Comrade Svetic?
No, Comrade Kettner, it probably won't.
How does the stage look to you from here, Matt?
That's very impressive, Doctor.
Yes, sir. I hope this auditorium will be full tomorrow night, Matthew.
You really expect that big a turnout?
For our first election, I should say so. Got a great program lined up for entertainment. Parents are more excited than the kids.
Excited are they about Kettner?
They love him. It may even be a unanimous vote. Incidentally, you know how sulky young Leo Kettner's been lately?
Leo? Yes, he's been kind of upset.
One of his adolescent moods, I guess. Took a lot of talking, but I finally convinced him to give a piano recital as the climax of the program.
Oh? Well, that's fine. He didn't give you any clue to his moodiness, did he?
Oh, he'll be all right. Between him and his uncle, it'll be an all-Kettner show.
The Kettner steamroller was the red steamroller, but Norcott and the voters were colorblind. There had to be some way I could throw the commies off their course. Some way to prevent them from ramming their man into the policy-making body of Boys Incorporated. But the big night came too soon. The auditorium filled with beaming parents. The kids put on a wonderful show. Even as young Leo Kettner finished his first encore, I'd not found a way to stop the race.
Look at that, Svetic. Listen to them. They love that kid.
They should, Kettner. The boy's good.
Good. Good is right. Good for us, good for me, and good for the party. And when he leaves the stage, the voting starts. And the Kettner name will be uppermost in their minds.
Well, that's his second encore. I didn't think he'd be willing to play this well, considering his attitude.
Oh, he's not doing it for my benefit. Typical of his bourgeois training. He's playing to please that mother of his.
was Leo's second encore. Now the balloting was certain to begin. Too late for me to block the calming advance. Too late for me to... Wait. They won't let the boy leave the stage. He's bowed 3 times, 4 times, but they insist on another encore. The poor kid looks confused, bewildered. He's pausing in the wings. It's obvious that he's not prepared for another encore. He doesn't seem to know exactly what to do. If I could get to him before the applause fades away. If I could get to him before he begs off completely. If I could only reach him now. Now. Leo, wait.
Aesthetic. Listen, what do I do? I don't know what to play.
Play a request, Leo. A request.
Well, I haven't got anything else ready.
Oh, yes, you have. Play a request, a special personal request from your uncle.
My uncle?
He's requested that you play the Internationale.
No, I couldn't.
Leo, don't you understand? That's his favorite song, and this is his big night. Play it. He deserves it, Leo. Don't you understand? He deserves it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I sure am grateful for all that applause. For my final selection tonight, I'd like to play, well, it's a special request from my Uncle Jack. This number, it's Uncle Jack's own personal favorite. The song he likes best of all. I'm playing it for you and for him.
For heaven's sake, what's that song he's playing?
Why, I don't know, Dr. Norcott. Sounds familiar, but I just can't seem to place it.
That's it. It's the Internationale. Why, Matt? Why? What's wrong with the boy?
He said it's his uncle's favorite, Doctor.
But the communist anthem.
Yeah, that's right. And he said it's his uncle's favorite. It worked all right. Young Leo took his cue and played it to the hilt. When the excitement died down, Comrade Kettner had vanished from the hall. Other seats were empty, too. Seats that had been occupied by other commies. The Reds didn't stay to witness their denouncement and defeat. But Leo didn't stay either. I found him outside the building, huddled on the steps of the fire exit, sobbing bitterly. I tried to comfort him, but I wasn't very good at it.
What can I do now, Mr. Svenick? I can't go back inside and in there. I can't go back to my uncle's house. Where can I go? What can I do?
Leo, listen to me. Dr. Norcott knew nothing about the Reds. Nothing.
You're a Red. How can I believe you?
Sure, I'm a Red. But the doctor isn't. You saw how he reacted to that scene inside.
Leo, that you?
Oh, he's right here, Doctor.
Come inside, son. There's an auditorium full of people waiting to thank you for what you've done.
Thank me?
Of course. Come on.
You too? You want to thank me too?
Attaboy, Leo. Coming, Matt?
Oh, no, Doctor. I'll be in later.
As you wish.
It was over now. The Red Steamroller had flattened its own crew of commies. Kettner was called out of town by party officials with sinister suddenness. Boys Incorporated saw that Leo and his mother were cared for, and I just walked away. I left a good friend and a part of my past behind me, and just walked away. It's easier to walk without friends, without memories, when you walk the red, red road. When you walk the road alone.
return in just a moment. This is Dana Andrews reminding you that there's an additional state in this union of ours, the state of mind known as freedom. Its borders extend as far as the mind of man. Its constitution is the Bill of Rights. Its chief executive, you. In the story you just heard, names, dates, and places are fictitious to protect innocent persons. Many of these stories are based on incidents in the life of Matt Cvetic, who worked undercover for the FBI. Next week, another fantastic adventure. Join us then, won't you?
In the name of the law, we bring you another of the thrilling stories in this exciting series, taken from actual police case files.
Our story begins on the night of August 5th, 1935. Outside of Los Angeles, California, in the peaceful little community of La Cañada. The summer night is scented with the haunting fragrance of orange blossoms, whose drifting petals somehow seem like falling tears. And that strange sound that seems to float on the air, like the echo of some weird rattle. What is that? We shall see.
Well, here we are, the honeymoon cottage.
Looks like a swell little bungalow, Bob.
Not bad for a barber, huh, Harry? What do you say, Mildred?
Just marvelous, Bob. But it's all dark.
Not a light showing. Say, Bob, maybe Mary's asleep.
Just too bad if she is. We'll wake her up.
Oh, Bob, don't do that. Don't you think Harry and I could come and visit some other time?
Nothing doing. Mildred, I asked you and Harry to come over tonight because, well, Mary hasn't been feeling well lately, and I thought you could cheer her up.
We'll try. I'm so sorry.
Yes, Mary looked grand when I last saw her.
Always does. She's so beautiful with that lovely blonde hair and perfect white skin.
Yeah, having a 27th birthday party soon. You'll have to come out. Here, up the driveway. Come on. Come right in. I'll turn on the light.
Why, Bob. Oh, how lovely.
So this is where you keep your bride.
Not bad for a barber, huh? Beautiful home, beautiful wife. Yeah, I'll call her. Mary. Oh, Mary. We got company. Yeah, that's funny. Mary, are you down here? Funny.
Maybe she's upstairs.
I'll run up and see. Mary, Mildred Jackson having an offer here. Mary.
Harry, I hope nothing's the matter.
Oh, don't be silly. What could be the matter?
Mary.
This house seems so empty.
Oh, Mary's probably out in the backyard feeding those rabbits of hers Bob was telling us about.
Mary. She's not up there.
Well, maybe she's visiting neighbors.
Neighbors? Not a chance. She doesn't know any of them. Hey, where are those flashlights?
Flashlights?
Yeah, here, Terry. You take this flashlight and I'll take this one. We'll search outside the house.
Search?
Bob, do you really think...
Please, let's hurry. Mary hasn't been well lately. I'm afraid she may have had a dizzy spell and fallen down somewhere.
I'm glad now we decided to stay.
Yeah. Harry, you take that flashlight and look out in the front yard. I'll look around out back.
Well, all right. Come on, Mildred. Outside, quick. Here. Now, I'll hold the flashlight. You see anything?
No. Oh, only those orange blossoms.
Anything but those flower beds?
No.
Oh, Harry! Is anything out in the front yard?
No, Bob, nothing here.
I'm looking around the rabbit pen. Oh, Harry!
Yes?
Take a look at
graveyard, will ya?
All right. Come on, Mildred. It sure is dark out here. Certainly needed this flashlight. What's this?
It's a little fish pond with a fountain. A lily pond. Oh, look, it has water lilies in it. They're night blooming.
In full bloom, too. See how they're...
Harry, what's that? There. There, on the other side of the pool. Here, hold your flashlight. Oh, it's Mary!
Merciful heavens.
Bob! Hello! Mary! Oh, Mary! Oh, look! Look at her hair around that water lily.
Oh, Lord. Mary, how did this happen? Oh, my poor little girl.
Steady, Bob.
Mary.
I think I'd better call the police.
What do you think happened, James?
I don't know, Sheriff.
He's not himself yet, Sheriff. Maybe I can help you.
Do you know what happened?
Well, not exactly, Sheriff, but Bob here told us that Mary, his wife, was subject to dizzy spells. Well, I figure she fainted and fell into the pond and then...
Yes, I see. We're going out again to look things over. You two stay here with James.
Yes, sir.
Come on, Jonesy.
Right.
Looks like pretty shallow water for anyone to drown in.
Yeah, it sure does. About 8 inches deep, I figure.
Too bad. Hey, what's this? Turn that flashlight down on her legs. Look at that.
Why, her leg is swollen nearly twice the size of the other one. Was she in an accident or something?
I don't know. Here comes the doctor. We'll ask him what he thinks. Oh, Doc. Doc, here, this way, please.
Hello, Sheriff. Is this the patient?
Too late for being a patient, I guess, Doc. Looks like a drowning.
Rather unusual in a shallow pool like this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Say, Doc, look at that left leg. What do you make of it?
Looks like a bite of some sort.
Do you know what kind?
Well, that's hard to say. It might be some insect like a black widow spider. But I can't say for sure without a chemical analysis.
You take charge of the body until the coroner comes, will you, Doctor?
Yes, I will.
Come on, Jonesy. Let's go inside again.
Right. Feel any better, James? Still too upset, eh? Maybe you can help us, North.
What do you want to know?
Has Mrs. James been in an accident recently?
Well, I really don't know. I didn't hear about any accident.
Hey, what's this? Mind if I read this letter? Look at this, Jonesy. Here's your answer.
Dear Sis, just a line to let you know I'm pretty sick. My leg is all swollen. Something bit me while watering in the garden. And having lots of bad luck. This is Old Blue Monday, but my daddy will be home early tonight, and he takes good care of me. Mary. Bitten by something in the garden, eh? So that's it.
Yep.
Well, you don't need us here now, do you, men? Suppose I take James home with me tonight. He's pretty well shot, and I think a good night's sleep somewhere else would do him good.
That'll be okay, I guess.
Well, come on, Bob and Mildred. We're going now. There, you sit in the back of the car, Bob, and you'll be more comfortable there.
Feel any better, Bob?
No. You know something, Harry?
What?
Too bad Mary had to die that way.
What do you mean?
Well, it's going to look bad for me.
For you? What are you driving at?
My third wife drowned in the bathtub in Colorado about 3 years ago.
Well, what in the world has that got to do with this?
Well, the cops will ask a lot of questions.
And that's what's worrying you now? You sure are a queer duck. You afraid of being questioned. And your wife stone dead. Gee.
You don't understand, Harry.
Well, I guess I don't.
Proceed, Joey.
Yes, sir. Here's how we found the body, Inspector. Face down in the pool, head and shoulders submerged, wore thin flowered silk dress, blue boudoir silk slippers, skirt pulled up over knees, and legs bare.
Oh, Mary loved to watch the goldfish play in the pond.
There, Bob. Come on now. Calm down.
She must have fainted and fallen in the pond.
Mr. James, the law of Los Angeles County has no wish to meddle with a husband's grief. We simply want the facts.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff Dewey, are all the witnesses present?
Yes, Inspector.
All right. Go ahead, Sheriff.
We found this note, Inspector, on the table in the kitchen of the deceased home.
Let me have it. Mr. James, is this your wife's handwriting?
Yes, sir.
This letter's addressed to Mrs. R.H. Stewart, Las Vegas, Nevada. Do you know her?
Yes, sir. Mrs. Stewart is her sister.
Something bit her while watering in the garden. That would account for the swollen leg. Today is Old Blue Monday. My daddy will be home early tonight. Mr. James, you were at the barber shop all day yesterday?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been married to the deceased?
3 months. And say, Inspector, I've been married 5 times altogether. Quite a record for a man only 39, huh?
Mr. James, we're not interested at this time in how many wives you've had. We're investigating the circumstances of this death.
Sure, I thought I'd tell you about the other marriages so you wouldn't think I was holding out on you.
I see.
I'll say this. Mary was the best of the lot. She was a fine girl.
Mr. James, did your wife carry any insurance?
Yes. In a way, I'm sorry she did. That kind of puts me on the spot. You see, I'm the beneficiary.
We're not accusing you of anything. Now, how much insurance did your wife carry?
She had 2 $5,000 policies that carried double indemnity clauses in case of accidental death.
Insurance, all right. Oh, Dr. Long.
Yes, Inspector.
Dr. Long, are you the James family physician?
I was called in to treat Mrs. James about 7 weeks ago.
Go on, Doctor.
Mrs. James was an expectant mother.
Was Mrs. James subject to fainting spells?
She was quite nervous. I prescribed a mild sedative.
Would you say that in view of the state of her health, she might have fainted and fallen into the pool?
Well, yes, it could have happened. Poor woman.
Mother.
Don't cry, Bob. Please don't cry.
Mary James was laid to rest in Los Angeles, near the third wife of Robert James. The 2 brides of the strange barber lay side by side in eternal sleep. But the tragic story of Mary was not yet to have its final heartrending chapter written. For while Robert James once more plied his shears in his barber shop in the office of Buren Fitz, District Attorney of Los Angeles County, the shears of fate were also snipping.
Let's get somewhere with this.
Right.
Oh, Tui, let's hear that coroner's report again.
Yes, Mr. Fitz. Coroner Surgeon's report, Mrs. Mary Bush James came to her death on the night of August the 5th, 1935 as a result of drowning, with acute cellulitis of left foot and left leg following laceration of great left toe as contributing factor. Verdict, accidental drowning, case automatically closed.
All right, Tui. Well, what else have you to suggest, Inspector Southard?
Mr. Fitz, there's about only one thing left to do.
What's that?
I've been doing some scouting around. This fellow James is taking a house out on LaSalle Avenue.
Who's his next-door neighbor?
The house next door is vacant. Now, my idea would be to install a microphone in his house, rent the house next door, and listen in for a while.
That's a good idea. Oh, Sergeant, get me Chief of Police Davis on the phone. I want the best sound man in the department.
All set, Dewey? Microphone working now?
Yes, sir. One in the bedroom and one in the living room.
Okay, here comes a voice test they don't expect. Turn it on.
Rotten day at the shop. Customers give me a pain.
Ever since your wife died, you've been complaining day and night.
If you don't like what I say, you know what you can do.
I only wish I could.
Hey, what's the idea? Why don't you send me church for laundry?
Please be quiet, Bob. I'm not your servant. If you want your church laundry, why don't you take care of yourself?
Shut up. Don't you ever yell at me that way.
You're riding to a fall, Bob. Don't forget it.
I was good enough for you when you didn't know where your next meal was coming from, wasn't I?
I'll take you back, Tony, for everything you ever done for me.
What does she mean?
Quiet.
Don't look at me that way. Don't go away.
Keep quiet. You want to wake up the whole neighborhood?
Please don't. Please.
I'm going over there and break that guy's head down.
Stop whining. I didn't hurt you. Between you and Hoboken nuts.
If he's bothering you, why are you taking out on me?
Bother me, huh? Hope won't be bothering me for long. Next time he tries to get more dough from me, I'll get him. Only better than I got married.
Did you hear that?
I knew he'd talk.
I saw Hook bring George near the barber shop today.
You did? Now, why did he come in to see me? I only wish he had. Am I going to fix him? I should have done it long ago.
I want to know one thing. What's that?
Isn't that girl a manicurist in James' barber shop?
You're right, Captain. I thought I heard her voice sound familiar.
She testified for him at the coroner's inquest, remember?
Yes. But where does this guy Hope fit in the picture? He has something on James.
He owns the green Buick. That's all we know, but that's plenty. Come on, let's go.
Right.
A manhunt without parallel in the police history of Los Angeles was on. Armed with a complete list of all cars registered in the name of Hope, the law, grim and quiet, checked them one by one. On the morning of May 2nd, Inspector Southard and Toohey, acting on a tip, drove up to a lunchroom in Hermosa Beach, where Charlie Hope was employed, and placed him under arrest for the murder of Mary James. While he was being grilled at headquarters, the two officers resumed their vigil at the recording instruments in the house next door to the one occupied by Bob James.
James is later than usual tonight.
I wonder if he knows that Hope was picked up today.
No, the DA's office has him under cover.
But Hope didn't crack yet, Captain.
Don't worry, Toohey. With Williams grilling him, it won't be long now.
We take James tonight, eh?
You heard the chief's orders. We've got to get him red-handed. Listen. Here they come now.
Glad tomorrow's Sunday. I'm tired.
Me too.
What's your hurry? You like me anymore?
How could I?
Oh, why shouldn't you? Come on.
No. Please, please.
What's the matter with you anyway?
No. No!
Come back or I'll...
Hey, Toohey. She's run away from him.
She should have done that a long time ago.
Open that door, I'll break it down, you hear me? Open that door! Now, don't ever pull that again.
Oh, please, no. Please, don't come in my bed!
I'll buy another one.
Turn off that speaker. Let's pull our raid.
Okay. Are you sure you have the pass key?
Yeah, here it is. Let's go over. This way. Come in. I'll open the door. You walk in fast. Careful. James may have a gun.
Hey, what's the idea?
James, we're from headquarters. You're under arrest.
What for?
You'll find out.
You can't get me out of here. I ain't done nothing. We can, hey? But how about this?
Put it away. You'll come all right. You too, sister.
Oh, why did I ever get in this mess? I knew something like this.
Proceed, Mr. Williams.
Charles H. Hope. Take the witness chair again, please.
Charles Hope, I hand you this signed paper. Can you identify it?
Yes, sir, I can.
Tell the court what it is.
My confession.
You admit you wrote it?
Yes, sir, I do.
And you signed it?
I did.
Of your own free will?
Yes, sir.
You weren't forced to sign it?
No, sir.
Will you please read it to the jury?
I, Charles H. Hope, for the purpose of...
Oh, just a minute. You may start with the next paragraph, please.
Yes, sir. About a year ago, I was broke. Went to Robert James' barber shop in Los Angeles to see if I could get a free haircut and a shave. Oh, now listen, Bob. Give me a free ride in the barber chair. Maybe I can help you someday.
Nobody helps Bob James. Say, maybe you're the man I'm looking for. Like to make $100?
Boy, I'd jump at that chance.
Huh?
How do I earn this $100?
Yes, huh? A friend of mine says he'll pay $100 for some good live rattlesnakes.
Huh? Rattlesnakes?
Yeah, rattlesnakes. Not afraid of them, are you?
For that money, I ain't afraid of nothing.
Huh? Here's the money. Get me 2 of the kind of snakes I want and keep the rest of the dough. Come on, we'll take my car. Come on.
Are you Snake Joe?
Yeah, Snake Joe, that's me.
Got any good diamondback rattlesnakes?
What, I got the meanest diamondbacks around here.
Now, look here, mister. Have they got a lot of venom in them?
Venom? Say, that's what Snake Joe's known for. They're what you call hot snakes, full of venom. You hear them rattling down in the pit?
Yeah, I hear them. How about them 2 big rattlesnakes over there in the corner of the pit? How much would they be?
I'll sell them rattlers to you for 70 cents a pound.
Oh, you sell them by the pound, eh?
I'm sure that's the only way to sell rattlesnakes.
Okay. I'll take them 2 big ones.
Huh? Well, there's my stick in the noose here. Oh, here they are. Come on, Lightning. Come on there, 4 tons. I tell you, both of them 2 Diamondbacks is the meanest killers in the state of California.
And they're wicked. Yeah, I brought this box with a glass top. Put them in here. Say, both guns meaner than lightning.
Yeah, they're plenty hot. Now, let's see. Take off the weight of the box. That's 10.5 pounds of rattlesnake. That's $7.35. Change out of 10. Right, here you are. I'll come again sometime.
Okay. I got the snakes, Bum.
Fine. You sit back there with them. Are they hot ones?
And how? Diamondbacks and plenty hot.
Chuck? There's no third party in this. I want to collect some insurance. You're the only one in it with me.
I don't get you.
Huh? You'll soon find out. My wife, she's the one.
I don't want to be mixed up in this kind of business.
You'd like to get some real dough, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I could use it.
I thought so. Well, here we are. Let's get out. Did you bring in that box of snakes?
Yeah, over there behind the door.
Daddy, is that you?
Yeah, Mary, I'll be in soon. Shh, she's sick.
Boy, I can't figure you out.
You're too dumb. Come on, let's have a drink.
Hey, where you going with that rope?
Wait a minute, you'll see.
How come adhesive tape? Hey, what are you doing with that?
Shut up. It's going to be done right. You'll see.
Bob? Bob? Oh, I'm so glad you're home. I don't feel well, dear. Please call the doctor.
You won't need a doctor when I'm through with you.
Bob, what do you mean? Please, Bob, don't you understand? I don't feel very well.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, Mary. Come here. Come on.
What do you want, Bob?
Now, here. Take this pen and write what I tell you.
Well, what do you want me to write? Bob, dear, what's come over you? You look so strange.
Never mind. Just write. Write this. Dear Sis, just a line to let you know I'm pretty sick.
Pretty sick?
Yeah. My leg is all swollen.
But, Bob, what do you mean? My leg isn't swollen.
I said right. My leg is all swollen. Something... am having lots of bad luck. This is old Blue Monday, but my daddy will be home early tonight, and he takes good care of me. Sign it, Mary. Now put your down and sister's name and address on this envelope.
All right. Bob, why did you make me write this to Sis?
Turn around and don't talk so much.
What are you doing with that adhesive tape, Bob? Bob, I'm frightened.
Shut up.
Bob, what are you trying to do to me? My mouth.
Keep over her eyes, too?
Yeah. Give me that rope. Give it to me. I'm going to tie the kitchen table. Hurry up.
Higher than she can't see.
Shut up. Where was that thing?
There they are, but...
Get him, get him. What are you standing around looking like that for?
All right, I get him.
Put him down. Put the box down. Here, by her foot. Take the lid off the box. Take it off, I tell you. Take it off.
She's barefooted.
Oh, don't put her foot in there. Don't. The snake. Realize the snake. Get up. I'll turn up some more.
Oh, she's fainted.
Now, I can take the snakes back and give them to Snake Joe.
I couldn't stand it in there. Is she dead yet?
Is she dead yet? She's been dead since 4 o'clock. To make double sure, I drowned her in the bathtub. She's finished now, all right. Come in and help me carry her out.
No, I can't.
Come
I can't
on,
do that.
Come on. You take her feet. I'll carry her head. We'll put her in a lily pond. Come on.
And then, after that, he cleaned up the bathroom, and he drove me home.
That's a lie! It's a lie! You did it! You did it! You did it!
Robert S. James, jury having found you guilty of murder in the first degree, I hereby sentence you to be executed according to the law of the state of California at San Quentin Prison at the time prescribed. You are to be hanged by the neck until you are dead. again when truth and justice triumph. In the name of the law.
Information, please. Presented each week at this time by Canada Dry, famous the world over for its fine beverages. Wake up, America. Time to stump the experts and treat yourself to a cool, refreshing glass of ginger ale. Every week at this time, Canada Dry presents Information, Please. All we want is questions, questions, questions. All we give is answers, answers. Often correct ones, too. Here's how it's done. You may submit from 1 to 3 original questions. For every question our quartet fails to answer, the sender gets $10 with the compliments of Canada Dry. For every question we use, whether or not it's answered correctly, the sender gets $5. So you can make $15 if our experts miss out, which they occasionally do. Our editorial staff may reword your question a trifle. Don't worry about it. Whenever there is a duplication of questions, Information Please uses the one that was submitted first. All questions become the property of Information Please and should be addressed to Canada Dry, 1 Pershing Square, New York City. And now may I present our master of ceremonies, Mr. Clifton Fadiman, literary critic of the New Yorker magazine. Mr. Fadiman.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, well, we go as we please on this program. It's uninhibited, unrehearsed, uncabined, uncribbed, unconfined. The member of the board who feels the urge to answer a question raises his hand. And if the question is muffed, Canada Dry cheerfully pays out $10 to the sender, plus $5 for the use of the question itself. Tonight, our board of experts consists of the following. The inimitable walking and talking encyclopedia, John Kieran. The equally inimitable creator of the conning tower, the man with a long memory and the deep voice, Franklin P. Adams. The famous journalist, John Gunther, whose brilliant book, Inside Asia, has just been published, and who leaves tomorrow on a trip to Europe to check up on that continent. And finally, what's this? Can I believe my eyes? Why, it's none other than that surrealist painter. Yes, she paints. And authority on... well, anyway, welcome to our little city, Gracie Allen. Gracie, by the way, appears by courtesy of Chesterfield, known hereafter to all information pleasers as the Canada Dry of cigarettes. Now, if, gentlemen, and Gracie, you are ready, we will start with a question from Elizabeth Nicholson of Tacoma, Washington. Several well-known characters in song or story or legend flew without benefit of modern inventions. Gracie, you know what a modern invention is, like an airplane, sort of.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I know you know it. Now, I want you to name 5 of them. For example, Pegasus, the famous horse, would be one. But don't name that, Gracie. Don't name that. I gave you that.
Oh.
All right. Mr. Adams, suppose you start us off.
Darius Green.
Wasn't that a flying machine that he actually used?
Yes.
Well, I don't want a modern invention like flying machine. You see? Gracie?
The witch, at Halloween.
Yeah, what'd she fly on, Gracie?
A broom.
Yeah, that's right. That's very good. A broom.
Am I right?
You bet it's right.
Icarus.
Now you take a vacation. Mr. Gunther.
Icarus.
Icarus, yes. That's 2. Let's have 3 more. Gracie, got nothing?
Santa Claus?
Yeah, Santa Claus. Sure. Santa Claus? Pretty good. You're feeling good, Gracie, aren't you? All right, Mr. Kieran?
Well, Daedalus flew with Icarus, but we'll pass that up. How about Phaeton, who borrowed Apollo's car and fell down through the heavens?
Yeah, that's right. What happened to him?
He was burned up.
Burned up to a cinder. That's right. That gives us 4. I ought to get 1 more, I think. Mr. Adams.
Large portion of Clusium.
Say, there's a fine classical... large portion of Clusium. What did he fly on, Mr. Adams?
Sat in his ivory car.
And he flew? Did he fly?
He flew around the track in a chariot.
Flew around the track. But he didn't fly up in the air, did he?
No.
No, but I mean a man who flew all the way up in the air. Gracie?
I know another one.
I bet you do.
He had that carpet and he went...
Yeah, who was that? That carpet man.
Don't tell me.
No, I wouldn't say a word. I wouldn't say a word, Gracie. Just let me get you nervous, Gracie. That's all.
No,
I
know.
I know you know it. Carpet, rug, flying carpet, magic carpet.
Alabama.
Oh, Alibaba and his magic carpet. That's 5, of which Miss Allen got 2 out of the 5. That's pretty good. All right. 3 out of the 5. I beg your pardon. The next question from C. Horn of Newark, New Jersey. This has to do with recent news events. What recent news event is suggested by each of the following? There are 3, and I'm going to ask you to get 2 out of them. If I say the phrase silk underwear, what does that recall to the minds of those of you who have read the newspapers recently? Silk underwear. Gracie?
Macy's basement?
Very nice plug for Macy's basement. It's not exactly a recent news event, but otherwise a very intelligent remark, Gracie. Mr. Gunther.
A rather far-fetchedly boycott of Japanese goods.
Yes.
Which has been in the news in connection with the 10-cent thing.
That might do, but I think there's something rather more specific. Recently, I think just a couple of days ago, some prisoners in Kansas revolted because the warden put a stop to their buying silk underwear in the prison commissary. Doesn't he mean, that warden? That's right. Now, that you got wrong, I'm sorry to say, though, Mr. Gunther, that was undoubtedly an approximate answer. Now, see if you can get the next two. A banquet in Nanking. A banquet in... Mr. Gunther.
Oh, that's where a group of Chinese puppets working for the Japanese were poisoned by loyal Chinese.
You happen to... You know that?
Yes.
I see.
I think I know it.
What happened to them? Were they killed?
They didn't die because after 2 minutes swallowing, they decided that what they were eating didn't taste very good, and they stopped eating.
I see. But that's what comes of trying to swallow China, no doubt, Mr. Gunther. All right, that's correct. An ocean liner with only 40 passengers. An ocean liner with only 40 passengers.
I know an ocean liner with 900.
Yes, I know that one, too, but I'm going to bargain you down to 40 this evening. Mr. Adams.
Mauritanian.
What is the... how did it happen to have only 40 passengers?
I don't know. Maybe it's coming over here with only 40 passengers.
That's a fine guess. It's totally wrong, Mr. Adams. Totally wrong. Sorry.
It's the only boat I've heard of recently.
No, the answer is, Mr. Kieran, did you
How
have
about the ship taking the king and queen back to England?
That's quite right. Why didn't you say that before Mr. Adams
Never thought
gave
of
us his little bit of information? I think we'll call that
The
right.
Empress of Britain.
The Empress of Britain. That's right, Mr. Adams. You knew it all along. All right, we did get 2 out of 3 on that. Now, the next question is all about famous warnings. It comes from Daisy Stevenson of Denver, Colorado. Famous warnings. Who was warned against alpine climbing? Who was warned against alpine climbing? Mr. Kieran.
The youth who bore mid snow and ice the banner with the strange device, Excelsior. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
Do you remember the warning, Mr. Kieran?
Oh, it's a very sad warning. I'd hate to spoil the evening by reciting it.
You couldn't spoil the evening
for me, Mr.
The night
falls thick and fast and snowing and all that sort of thing.
That's right. Kieran, try not to pass, the old man said. Dark lowers the tempest overhead and so forth. That's one warning correctly got. Who was warned against widows? Who was warned against widows? Mr. Kieran.
In Pickwick papers, the old gent that drove the coach warned Mr. Pickwick against Vitters.
No, he didn't warn Mr. Pickwick.
He warned his son.
Yes.
That's
Tony
right.
Weller.
Sam Evil.
Sam Weller was warned by his father, Tony. Do you remember the actual words in which he warned him against Mr. Adams?
Beware of Vitters.
It's approximately that. Be very careful of Vitters all your life, said the elder Weller to the younger Weller. And at this point, I might recall one of your classic remarks about widows, Mr. Adams. May I recall it?
I'd love to have you. What was it?
A little widow is a dangerous thing.
Oh, I didn't say that.
Isn't that yours?
I quoted it.
Oh, but you didn't put the quotes in when you said it on
Yes,
one of the
I
programs
did.
some time ago, did you? I've always thought it was yours, Mr. Adams. Who was warned against a particular day of the month? Mr. Kieran.
Julius Caesar, beware the Ides of March.
Yes, and what day of the month is the Ides of March?
Well, there's a Latin professor in the audience here, and we have to be very careful about this.
I'm not
the
worried
calendar
about
has been changed. The Ides now are popularly supposed to be the 15th of the month, but I don't believe they were that in Latin days.
Yes, they were.
I think they were. Mr. Adams is also a classical student. If he says
He
they
can
were,
argue
he
with the Latin professor after this is over.
March 15th, the Ides of
March,
March.
July, October, May, the Ides are on the 15th day.
That sounds like English to me. We're talking about Latin.
What a memory they both have. Of course, March 15th is also the day on which luckier persons pay their income tax, so that's a warning for a great many of them. That's 3 warnings out of 3. Who was warned against staying out too late? Who was warned against staying out too late? Gracie, do you have an answer?
Who wasn't?
Wait a minute.
Don't let Mr. Adams intimidate you, Gracie.
Rip Van Winkle?
Rip Van Winkle. Who was
No.
Gracie, you got me all confused.
I know.
Oh, I know you.
Cinderella.
Oh, that's right. Cinderella. That's right. That's 4 warnings out of 4. Gracie, when are you going to step back into character and get some of these wrong, anyway? The next question from S. Rogers of Chicago, Illinois. Very serious question about our relations with the Far East. What have each of the following Americans, there are 4 of them, contributed to our economic and political relations with the Far East? The first is Matthew C. Perry. Mr. Gunther?
He was the commodore of the American ship which opened Japan after it had been closed to the world for 240-odd years.
Yeah, and he thereby precipitated considerable history.
He opened a good deal.
He opened up a good deal, yes. John Hay. John Hay.
He enunciated the open
Gunther?
door policy.
What does that mean exactly?
It means freedom of opportunity for foreigners of all nations to trade in undeveloped territories like China.
Yes, and is the open door still open, Mr. Gunther?
The Japanese have closed it, as a friend of mine said, so that you can't even see a chink in it. In quotes, that is.
Yes, I know. We'll ascribe that to somebody else. Charles E. Hughes. Charles E. Hughes. Mr. Gunther again.
Well, he was the American Secretary of State during the Washington Conference, which resulted in the Nine-Power Treaty.
What does that mean? What is the Nine-Power Treaty?
That was an attempt to guarantee the territorial integrity of China on the part of all the interested powers.
Yes.
Japan signed it, but hasn't respected it altogether.
No, not entirely. Not entirely. And Henry L. Stimson, Mr. Gunther again.
The doctrine of non-recognition. In 1932, the Japanese took Manchukuo. Mr. Stimson decided that he would not recognize that seizure was legal, and we still hold to the principle that we do not accept seizures of territory by means that contravene the Kellogg Pact.
Well, actually, technically, Manchukuo hasn't been seized, has it, by Japan?
They use strange language out there. They call it an incident when it's a war, and they call it a pacification operation when it's a campaign.
Of course, it's not part of Japan, Manchukuo, is it?
It's a puppet state under Japanese domination.
Yes, but actually, technically, it hasn't been annexed at all.
No, the Japanese simply took it.
No. Now, Gracie, have you been listening to this?
Yes, I have.
Oh, all right. Now, we have no more questions like that.
He's very good,
He
too.
is, isn't he? Good. Very good. He's very good.
Thank you, madam.
He writes great big books, Gracie.
Does he?
Yeah, he's quite a man. The next question from Dorothy B. Hussey of Maywood, Illinois, has to do about babies.
Oh.
Babies. You like that, Gracie. Gracie's getting right into the spirit of this one. I'm going to ask you to quote 3 lines of poetry about babies, 3 separate lines of poetry. Gracie, do you know a line of poetry
a
about
song like, maybe?
Oh, a song like
I
maybe?
know all the songs.
That's right, you do know songs. You want to sing it for us?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh, this is
I thought I'd
kind
have
of
to
silly. Rock-a-bye, baby, on the treetop when the wind blows. That's one.
Yeah, that's very good.
I know another one.
Do you?
Yes, sir, that's my baby, no, sir.
That's 2. Could you sing us a third? Mr. Adams.
You sing, too.
Baby's bolts the silver moon.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
Yeah, you like that, Gracie. Eh? Mr. Adams is very good in these popular songs, too. Only his memory reaches further back than yours.
Pretty Baby.
Beg pardon?
There was a song called Pretty Baby.
How does it go?
I don't remember.
Pretty baby, da-da-da-da, pretty baby.
Pretty baby.
I can't keep them quiet. I can't keep that duet quiet.
Won't George be proud of me, though?
George is very proud of you, I'm sure. Mr. Kieran, what do you have to say?
Have you got them all?
That gives us 3. Want to give us another one about babies? Mr. Kieran's awfully paternal.
Well, I know one.
Do you?
Yes.
Well, all right. Sell it to me.
Oh, I know
On parents' knees, a naked newborn child, thou wepst while all around thee smiled. So live that sinking to thy last long sleep, thou then mayest smile while all around thee weep. That's by the name of Jones from the Sanskrit of Kalidasa.
Oh, goodness.
I like ours better, don't you?
Yeah.
I know another one.
Oh, wait a minute.
Baby
I've got to digest
shoes,
that
baby shoes.
one. Yes, that's very good. Now, Mr. Kieran, you have brought this program up to an impossibly high level. I don't know how I'm going to get it down
I'll
again.
let it down.
Suppose we stop there for a moment. Let's see now. We have no stumps at all. And while our experts are fanning their red faces, Mr. Milton Cross has just a few words to say. I'll get him on a little later.
Thank you, Mr. Fadiman. The other day, a friend in the travel business sent me a large assortment of attractive folders. Each of these brochures tried to lure me away from information, please, by describing in polished prose so many smart vacation centers. Being ever attentive to duty, I noted mentally that in every one of these famous resorts, the fortunate travelers would probably soon be quenching their summer thirsts with frosty cool glasses of ginger ale. For it actually is smart to drink ginger ale. Smart not only in the sense that it's fashionable, but also that it's a wise way of taking cooling refreshment. Continuing through the travel folders, I had the gratifying thought that the ginger ale most in demand would be Canada Dry. For it was Canada Dry which first popularized pale dry ginger ale. And for many years it has been famous for its sparkle and distinctive flavor, the flavor and bouquet of the choicest Jamaica ginger. So it's smart to drink ginger ale as a refresher, and doubly smart to drink Canada Dry, the champagne of ginger ale.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Your brief discourse was clocked in exactly 66 seconds. Now, the next question from Irving Nassau of New York City has to do with double talk. I think all of you know what double talk is. For example, the kind of cigar that Mr. Adams does not serve me at his house, but which he
Corona,
expects... That's
Corona.
right, Mr. Adams. That's double talk. Corona, Corona. I'll give you another example. A certain kind of bullet.
Dum-dum.
Dum-dum, yes. Why didn't you get that, Gracie? That really is up your alley. Dum-dum. Yes, that's right. Thank you, Mr. Adams. Now, I'm going to ask you to give me double talk on a song. A song. How about it? Mr. Adams.
CCC.
CCC.
Just a Penny Serenade.
Well, isn't that what it's called? Just a Penny Serenade?
Oh, the name, the
It
title
has
of
to
the
be
song?
the title, yes. Double talk in the title itself. Have to get, there are 4 of these. Have to get all of them.
What kind of song? Old song, new song?
Yes, old song, new song, middle-aged song.
As long as it's a song.
Yeah, as long as it's a song, Gracie. That's all. That's all. Are you thinking, Gracie?
Oh.
What is that you're doing over there?
I'm thinking like anything. I know a town, Walla Walla.
Gee, I wish I
Is that a town?
You don't know Baden-Baden, though, do you?
Yeah.
Hip, hip. Hooray.
Oh, no, I don't think
Thank you, Mr. Gunther, but we've got to get a song.
so.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Boola Boola. How about that? College
Okay.
That's
song?
very good, Mr.
That's good, isn't it?
I didn't think you knew it.
No.
Of course, I have these things down on a card, Gracie. I don't want you to get any false ideas of me. Any more than I want to get any false ideas of you, Gracie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a cracker. A cracker. Cracker in double talk. Famous cracker. Not so good on double talk. Zuzu. Ever hear of Zuzu? Oh, that's a snap. You ought to have gotten that one.
Oh.
Zuzu. An insect. An insect.
Tsetse.
Okay, Mr. Gunther, that's right. Tsetse. What does it do to you?
It gives you sleeping sickness if
Yeah.
you're unlucky.
Yes, that's right. That's one right. A school of art and literature in double talk. Mr. Kieran?
Dada.
Dada, what is it?
Oh, baby talk.
You mean walk to Dada?
Mr. Kieran, you tell Gracie what Dada really is.
I've looked at it for years and I don't know.
I want you to give Gracie something to take home with her. What is Dada? Give us a simple explanation of it.
Well, I think they take all the colors on the palette and throw them with a buckshot or some kind of thing. Throw them just down there and then think up a title and hang it upside down. That's Dada, isn't it?
Gracie, isn't that the sort of thing you do in your spare time?
No.
No? What sort of paintings do you make?
Oh, did you see that? Oh, that is
No,
good.
I didn't. Don't
They're
take
very
them out of
good.
They are?
They really were.
Then they're not like what Mr. Kieran
No,
said, Dada. No, I'm sure they're not. School of Art and Literature is Dada. We only got 2 out of 4 on that. That's going to cost Canada Dry $10. Plus $5
I know the
for
answer to that one.
What one?
That Canada Dry won't like it.
You can say it. You can say it. Something you want to say, Grace?
No.
No? All right. The next question from W.W. Grieve of Perry, New York. Mr. Grieve asks the following. Can you name any Republicans who have served 2 full terms as president since the Civil War? You have to think on this one. Just run through the presidents, gentlemen, and Gracie. Well, Washington, Gracie, came before the Civil War.
Oh.
Don't let me get you down, Gracie.
No, I won't.
No.
I'll get him.
It's a tough one. I'll give you another 5 seconds. Mr. Adams, did
I
you
don't think there were any.
I'm sorry. There was only one.
General Grant?
Yes, that's right, but I'm afraid that I supplied the answer. Or rather, that Mr. Adams supplied the wrong answer. That's quite right, Mr. Gunther. Really ought to give you credit. Ulysses S. Grant was the only one who was president from 1869 to 1877. If you go through all the other presidents, which probably Gracie has been doing in her head during the last 30 seconds, you won't find any Republican who has served 2 terms. Well, Mr. Grieve is going to get $10 owing to the impetuosity.
Thanks to me.
Of Franklin P. Adams, that's right. G. Moss of this city sends in an interesting question about the movies. Answer each of the following questions with the title of a current movie. For example, if I said, who is Bad Farewell? What would the answer be in terms of the title of a current movie? Who is Bad Farewell?
Goodbye, Mr. Chips.
Goodbye, Mr. Chips, Mr. Gunther. Very good. All right, that is just an example. Now we have 4. What is...
Doesn't that count?
Again? Yes, that was just to, give us the idea. See? What is Tarzan's discovery? Gracie, do you know that one?
Here comes the sun? No. Something about a sun.
Yeah.
I found a sun.
Yeah. Let's have another sentence. The way these things pour out of your mouth, Gracie, is a caution. Go ahead.
He finds the sun.
Yeah, who does?
Tarzan.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Tarzan finds the sun. What's the weather across the Atlantic? Title of a movie which would answer that question.
Lost Horizon.
You stick to that, do you, Mr. Gunther? Not quite apt enough, I don't think.
It's played on Broadway, didn't it, that picture?
Well, no.
Wait a minute.
I don't know. Don't pump me, Gracie. Don't pump me.
Well, you could just say yes, something about clouds over Europe.
Sure, it is Clouds Over Europe. It is Clouds Over Europe.
Oh, see?
Never heard.
What flower is obtainable south of Fifth Avenue? What flower is obtainable south... Mr. Gunther.
A rose of Washington Square.
Very good. You've been to the movies lately, Mr. Gunther.
Not for 3 months.
Well, these are current pictures. What do you get them by?
I read the papers.
Fourth and last, where can you find Bing Crosby and Joan Blondell? No cracks, Gracie.
Well, I know.
Do you know?
Yes. Is it west side of heaven, east side of heaven?
East side of heaven, yes. East side's more fashionable. East side of heaven, that's right. That's very good, may I say. That's very good. Thought I'd catch him on that. The next question from N. Paulson of Atlanta, Georgia, has to do with old-time songs. I'm going to ask you to complete the following lyrics from these old-time songs. You can sing them if you care to. Later on, we'll take a Gallup poll of our listeners and see whether they cared for it. The first is, I won't sing it. All at once, he sent me round a note. Here's the very note. This is what he wrote, Mr. Kieran.
Can't come today. That's left me at the church.
Waiting at the church.
Waiting at the church, that's right. Well, Mr. Kieran, Mr. Adams together, got it.
This is what he wrote.
I
can't come today.
Can't get away.
Can't get away to marry you today. My wife won't let me.
That's right, Mr. Kieran. One right. Now, I could hear the dull buzz of the bee in the blossoms as you said to me. How does it go on? Mr. Adams.
Da-da-da-da-da-da, in the shade of the old apple tree.
I knew that one, too.
You knew that too, Gracie, eh? Mr. Adams, you want to thank Gracie for helping you out on the vocal.
I think the thanks are on the other foot.
Uncross your feet, Gracie. The thanks are on the other foot. The next one, and the last. She's the only girl I love with a face like a horse and buggy leaning up against the lake. Sounds as if Gracie had written it herself.
Fireman, save my child.
That's right. That's right. Gosh, 3 out of 3. Very hard to stump them this evening. The next one from Florence B. Duke of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is about a race. If the following birds were flying a race, in what order would they finish? Now, Mr. Kieran, after that woodpecker episode, I'm no fool, you know. I'm not going to argue. If you give me the answer to this question, I'm going to accept it as gospel truth. The following birds were flying a race, in what order would they finish? A crow, a duck hawk, also called a peregrine falcon, I believe.
Falco peregrinus, that's right.
That's all right, Mr. Kieran. And the golden eagle. In what order would they finish?
A crow, a golden eagle, and a duck hawk would be the fastest, I mean. A golden eagle probably would be next, and the crow probably would be the slowest.
That's quite right. That's quite right, Mr. Kieran. That's what I have down here.
No arguments tonight.
No arguments tonight. Not a woodpecker in the house. Very good. About how fast could they travel, do you think?
Well, a crow ordinarily flies around from 25 to 30 miles an hour.
I have 60.
No, that's wrong.
That's wrong.
A duck hawk is one of the fastest known birds we have. That might go 60 or even 80 or more miles on a stoop when it's diving.
Unless it was going as the crow flies, of course.
Yeah. And
slower.
An eagle would go about 35 miles an hour.
You're awfully conservative. I have 170 to 180 miles.
Oh,
to the
that's
doctor.
all right.
That's all right.
Where'd you get
I know
that?
that.
Where'd you get that out of the Farmer's Almanac?
No, I got that. I got that out of the Bulletin, Essex County Ornithological Club, Volume 12, 1930.
Typographical error.
The whole thing? As for your Golden Eagle, which you say goes only 30 miles an hour, it must be lame, because I have it down here as 120 miles per hour.
Oh, boy.
You don't believe that's
That
possible?
goes with the flying carpet that Gracie had out a little while ago.
Well, you got the answer correct, of course, Mr. Kieran. We may have time for one or two more. This one from Lauren L. Davis of Chatham, New Jersey. How do the following islands figure in international affairs? Guam. How did that figure recently in international affairs? Mr. Gunther.
We decided to fortify it, and then the House of Representatives decided that we shouldn't fortify it, so we haven't. It's one of the islands on the Pan-American route to the Pacific.
Yes. And how about Åland, which I'm no doubt mispronouncing?
Oh, it's in the Baltic, and it was the scene of an old dispute between Finland and Sweden, something that's been dragging on since 1920 or so.
Yes. How did Russia and Germany recently come into the Åland question?
Well, because they're both extremely interested in the future of naval power in the Baltic, and apparently these islands would be an excellent base.
That's the fortification. Enderbury and Canton.
What?
Enderbury
Oh,
and
those
Canton.
are the two islands on the route between the Pan-American Trans-Pacific route and the projected new route down to New Zealand, and there was some question as to their sovereignty between Great Britain and the United States,
That's
and it was
correct.
amicably adjusted.
3 out of 3, you know that stuff, Mr. Gunther, absolutely cold. That brings our losses up to $20, and as usual, we'll hear from Mr. Cross before I tell you about next week's guests.
Earlier in the program, I mentioned it's smart to drink Canada Dry ginger ale. Well, I should add, it's also smart these hot summer days to keep your refrigerator well stocked with sparkling Canada Dry water. For this fine club soda makes your favorite hot weather drink taste better, have more life and sparkle, and retain its sparkle for a good long time. You'll find Canada Dry water is not only an ordinary club soda. It's not an ordinary club soda. It's a sparkling water made by a special formula to ensure perfect blending. So next time you order club soda, be sure to ask for Canada Dry water. And you'll find it served at all leading clubs, restaurants, and hotels.
Thank you. And Gracie Allen. Brilliant, Gracie. Brilliant. And John Gunther. Accept Canada Dry's thanks for joining this evening in our innocent merriment. Now, next week, the reliable Adams-Levant-Kieran combination will be batting them out. And also on deck, as our guest of honor, will be one of the most distinguished experts we've ever had. A man known as literary historian, as an artist in prose, as a great teacher, and as the ex-governor of Connecticut, Wilbur L. Cross. To all you listeners, we say, please send your questions along. If you have a stumper to stump our board of experts, let's have it. There are $5 in it for you if we use your question, and another 10 if we fail to answer it correctly. So you can win 15 in all. Send your letters with questions to Information, please, 1 Pershing Square, New York City.
Among the host of Canada Dry beverages, you are bound to enjoy these summer favorites. Canada Dry Tom Collins Mixer and Canada Dry Lime Ricky. Both made with a genuine fruit base and the finest ingredients. No preservatives or artificial flavoring. So for cooling, tall drinks with a lemon flavor, order Canada Dry's Tom Collins Mixer. For a lime flavor, insist on Canada Dry Lime Ricky. The family size is economical, costing only 15 cents. This is Milton Cross saying, good night, all.
Inheritance. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with the American Legion, presents a story out of that great composite of visions, struggles, and victories of the American past. Our Inheritance. Yes, we Americans are heirs to a vast fortune. A fortune compounded of many things. Of log cabins built in the wilderness. And the voice of a great bell proclaiming liberty. It is a tall, gaunt man holding a nation together through a cruel war. Canal built across fever-ridden Panama. And an airman alone over the Atlantic Ocean in the spirit of St. Louis. Let us now go back to a decisive period in America's history, one which we all share in our inheritance. In the Mount Auburn Cemetery near Boston, Massachusetts, is a marble marker bearing the simple legend, Dorthea L. Dix. Over it stand the American flag and the standard of the Corps of Army Nurses. Why is Dorthea Dix so honored? Because of a mission to which she dedicated her life. A mission which she described in these words.
To bring a little comfort where there's pain, a little reason where there's ignorance, a little hope where there's fear, and a little progress. I have faith in the people of this state and of this country. If they're given the truth, if they're informed of injustice and brutality, they will act.
This is the story of Dorthea Lynde Dix's fight to wipe out such injustice and brutality and to bring light where there was only darkness. It begins on a Sunday morning in 1841.
Hello, Dorthea.
Anne, oh, how nice to see you. Come on in.
I just stopped by to find out if you were going to the cotillion on Wednesday night and to ask you to attend church with me this morning.
Can you speak of dancing and church in the same breath? Why, Anne.
Is that terribly wicked of me?
We do not judge others by their sins, Anne, but rather by the work of their hands.
Well, then, since I am without doubt the unhandiest of women, there is no hope for my salvation. Seriously, Dorthea, you do plan to attend the cotillion, don't you?
I'm afraid not, Anne.
Oh.
My school for the poor children keeps me far too occupied for such pleasure.
Oh, but Dorthea, since your grandmother died, you go nowhere, you rarely entertain, you just live in this big house all alone.
I'm not alone. I have my children.
Your children, indeed. Would they were your children.
Anne.
Oh, I know what you're doing for them is wonderful, but you're in your 30s, Dorthea. When are you going to start thinking about your own happiness?
Anne, dearest, I appreciate your concern for me, but I'm perfectly happy as I am doing what I'm doing.
Well, you know what you want out of life, and I know what I want. A little laughter and dancing, and a carriage ride in the Commons with the handsomest man in Boston.
And you will no doubt find all of these.
Oh, Dorthea, please do say you'll change your mind about the cotillion. It will be the affair of the year.
I'm sorry, Anne. I really can't go.
Well, there are 3 days before then. Perhaps you'll have a change of heart.
Anne Heath, you are a gnat.
And you, Dorthea Dix, are a stubborn mule. Well, now that we have duly insulted each other, put on your bonnet and we'll be on our way to church.
I'm afraid you'll have to go without me.
You're not going to church?
Not this morning. But I'm certain the good Lord will forgive me. I have other plans.
Well, now, what could be more important this beautiful Sunday morning than going to church?
Going to jail.
Dorthea.
Now, don't look so shocked, Anne. One of the students at the Harvard Divinity School has been giving Sunday school instruction to the women inmates at the East Cambridge jail.
Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't been too successful, and it was felt that perhaps a woman instructor might make better progress. So, when I was asked to take his place, I accepted.
But in a jail?
And why not in a jail?
Well, simply because a jail is hardly a proper place for a woman of gentility. Well, what can you be thinking of, Dorthea?
I'm thinking of something the Bible tells us. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. He's shown me the way, Anne, and I must follow. Do you think they enjoyed my little Bible talk, matron?
Oh, yes, Miss Dix. My ladies were most attentive.
They seem so to me. I trust you don't mind my asking to be shown about the jail.
Why should I mind? We have visitors every day.
Are the women here difficult to handle?
We manage to keep them in their place. Small place though it is, we're that crowded.
Is there no other house of correction to which they may be sent?
None. They're all as bad off as we are here.
How dreadful. Listen. Someone singing.
It's Clara.
What a sweet voice.
Well, you'd hardly think so if you had to listen to her sing that same song day in and day out.
May I speak with her?
Clara doesn't have many visitors.
Just for a moment.
Very well, but it'll be a waste of time. That's Clara.
How pale she is. How thin.
She won't eat. Hasn't touched a thing for 2 days.
Oh, poor thing. She looks so frightened. Hello, Clara. Don't be frightened. I'm your friend.
You can save your breath. She won't answer you. She won't talk to anyone.
Why not?
Just out of plain stubbornness. Some of them get that way. Shall we go on?
Yes. Goodbye, Clara. Matron.
Yes?
Her hand, it's like ice. And see how she trembles with cold.
It'll pass.
Haven't you blankets to give her? No warm clothes?
There's no need to waste such things on the likes of her.
But she's freezing.
Well, she doesn't know that.
What? I don't understand.
Clara's one of the loonies.
The loonies? She's insane?
Crazy as a loon.
And what is she doing here in a house of correction, surrounded by criminals and murderers? Why is she not in a hospital where she can receive proper attention?
Ma'am, the hospitals are crowded with those who can pay for their care. Those who cannot pay are sent to the jails.
This is monstrous. That human beings must be subjected to such neglect.
Do not distress yourself, Miss Dix. The loonies don't know what's going on, and no one cares if they do.
You're mistaken, matron. Someone does care.
Yes? Come in.
Dr. Sumner?
Yes?
I'm Dorthea Dix.
Oh, yes. I was told you wished to speak with me. Sit down, please.
Thank you.
Now then, what may I do for you?
Dr. Sumner, you are a member of the Boston Prison Discipline Society, are you not?
I am.
And as such, is it not your duty to investigate improper conditions in our houses of correction?
It is, Miss Dix.
Sir, a few days ago, I had occasion to visit the Cambridge jail.
You visited Cambridge?
I did indeed. And I found conditions there to be the most deplorable. Not only was it in an overcrowded condition, but I discovered something else much to my horror.
Yes?
Those poor unfortunates who are mentally ill and cannot afford proper treatment are also thrown into such places as Cambridge. Tell me, Doctor, do you consider such action to be just?
Miss Dix, we are aware of conditions in Cambridge jail, but unfortunately it would take a great deal of money to correct these conditions.
Then something should be done to get such an appropriation. When I saw those poor souls shivering with cold, ignored and abandoned, simply because in our ignorance we believe the mentally ill are insensible to feeling, it was then that I decided something must be done to change all that.
And what do you suggest?
I suggest that such conditions be brought to light. I believe that people who have little or no contact with our prisons and almshouses are completely unaware that such conditions exist. I also believe that it's the duty of the state to provide proper homes and treatment for the mentally ill.
Miss Dix, what you suggest is most admirable. But do you realize what your suggestion would entail? Before the people could be made acquainted with the unfortunate conditions which exist, a survey would have to be made of every prison, every house of correction, and private home where the mentally ill are kept.
Then such a survey must be made.
That we would like very much to do. But as I told you before, the legislature will not give us an appropriation. I am truly sorry, but our hands are tied.
Perhaps your hands are tied, Dr. Sumner, but mine are not. I will make the survey myself.
But, Miss Dix, the expense of a survey, where would you get the money? There would be traveling expenses, correspondence.
I have some income from my grandmother's estate, and what else I may need, I shall borrow.
This is not an easy task you have chosen for yourself. It may take months, even years.
Believe me, time is of no importance, Dr. Sumner. If I can awaken the people to the conditions in our houses of detention.
In the spring of 1842, Dorthea Dix gave up her school and began her pilgrimage of mercy. For 18 months, she went from town to town, by slow-moving trains, by boat, in fair weather, in snow, in rain. There was not an almshouse, workhouse, or prison in the entire state of Massachusetts which she did not visit at least once. She found inmates locked in closets, dripping cellars and pens. She found them in chains, naked and cold, beaten with rods and lashed into dumb obedience. And in some of the prisons, she found people confined to cages.
They're called Utica cribs, ma'am. We keep the real dangerous ones in them.
Like wild animals.
That's about what they are, ma'am. Wild animals.
How long do you keep them in these cages?
Until they die.
I see.
Care to go on, ma'am?
I most certainly would.
Now, you take that old lady there. Nigh on 14 years she's been here. And gave us a bit of trouble at first, but now she just lays there staring at the ceiling.
Poor thing.
Oh, don't waste your pity on them, ma'am. They're happy.
Oh, of that I'm certain. How could they be otherwise with such comfortable living quarters?
I guess they are comfortable at that, ma'am. Leastwise for them crazy fools they are.
That young man over there. Why is he crying?
Doesn't do anything else but cry, ma'am.
How long has he been here?
Oh, he's a new one. Only been here a year or two.
Is he fed properly?
Yes, ma'am. We throw slops in that trough every sundown.
And his cage, is it ever clean?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Once a week, regular.
What happens to him in the wintertime? Surely you don't keep him in that filthy cage then.
Oh, no, ma'am. During the winter, we have a special pit to put him in.
A pit?
Yeah, a deep hole in the ground. But we don't worry none about him trying to escape. There's heavy stones to hold down the cover.
And he stays in there all winter with no light or warmth?
Oh, he gets plenty of light. We take off the cover at sundown to give him his slops. You see, ma'am, we don't believe in pampering him none. Like you said, ma'am, they're the same as wild animals. And that's how we treat them.
But, Dorothy, you can't continue with this terrible work. It's making you ill.
I must, Anne. If I never accomplish another thing in my life, this is one task I must finish. Oh, if you could have seen the misery and the filth. Oh, the poor souls. Broken in mind, but with eyes that begged for a little help and understanding. If you had seen these things as I've seen them, you would not try to stop me, Anne.
Probably not. Here's your tea, dear.
If only people would understand. If they could be taught that those whom they call the loonies and crazy are actually suffering from an illness. An illness of the mind, perhaps, but one which needs as much attention as scarlet fever, malaria, or cholera.
But, Dorothy, there must be others who could handle this problem which has so taken hold of you. After all, this is hardly the proper work for
a lady of gentility. I know, Anne. You've informed me of that fact many times.
I'm not the only one who feels that way. Several of our friends have remarked on this improper pursuit of yours.
Improper indeed. Would that I knew their names, Anne, so I could show them the true meaning of impropriety.
Well, then you are determined to go on with your work.
I am indeed so determined that I'm going to ask permission to make a report to the state legislature.
Dorthea.
It will not be a pretty report, Anne, and certainly not what you might expect to hear from the lips of a lady of gentility. But if I can shock them with the truth and spur them into action, then these past 2 years will not have been wasted. And so, gentlemen of this legislature, I come to the end of my report. I've described the almost unbearable living conditions in our prisons and almshouses, the filth and the lack of proper food. I've told you of the people locked in the Utica cribs and of a penniless 15-year-old expectant mother confined to an almshouse because she suffered with fits. forced to give birth to a child in a cell filled with hopeless mental cases. Most of all, gentlemen, I've tried to illustrate the complete absence of compassion and of understanding, which might bring mental or physical comfort to the unfortunates now under detention. I implore you, in this legislation, that you exercise that wisdom which is the breath and the power of God. Kitchen, Anne.
Dorthea, have you seen the newspaper?
No, not today, Anne. But what news is there that has blown you into my kitchen like a gust of wind?
It's all about you, Dorthea.
Me?
Since the legislature began to investigate your charges, they've stirred up a virtual hornet's nest of complaints.
So at last we shall see some action taken. Anne, hand me those eggs, please.
Oh, here.
Thank you.
Now, just listen to this. Here's what a jailer in Chelsea said. The woman, that's you, the woman told a pack of lies. We give our patients the best of treatment. What she has said is slanderous.
The jail at Chelsea was one of the worst.
And a Back Bay social leader says, Miss Dix's insinuation into the world where men have proper domain has brought disgrace on her sex as well as her family name.
She's probably never left the confines of her drawing room. Now, let's see a few drops of extract.
Now, listen. Here are the words of an almshouse superintendent in Bedford. Nothing like what she claims ever goes on at any place where I am in charge. Dorthea, how long are you going to let them continue to say and print such things about you?
As long as it takes to wake the people up to the conditions which exist. Anne, would you mix a batter for me, please? I have some biscuits to put in the oven.
Well, they talk about you as though you were some sort of a witch trying to stir up trouble.
I am trying to stir up trouble. If they wish to call me a witch, that is their pleasure.
But how can the people who run the prisons and almshouses say these things about you when they themselves are the ones who are doing wrong?
Wrong? Yes, they are wrong, Anne, but I believe that most of the wardens and keepers and jailers do wrong not so much through hardness of heart or willful cruelty as they do because of a lack of skill and knowledge and consideration.
And you think the legislature would change all that if they vote in favor of your recommendations?
Not if. When they vote in favor of them, as I know they will. And open the oven door for me, please.
Following the angry outbursts from a public which didn't understand her motives, and from prison and almshouse keepers who refused to admit their guilt, the tide began to turn in favor of Dorthea Dix's crusade. Supporters sprang up everywhere. Their letters flooded the newspapers. At first, the letters came from doctors who already knew of the conditions which existed. Then statesmen, legislators, and even many of the public took it upon themselves to visit the prisons and almshouses to conduct their own investigation. And as the days went by, Dorthea Dix waited anxiously for word from the legislature. And at last it came.
So here you are, Miss Dix.
Why, Dr. Sumner, what a pleasant surprise. Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
Tell me, Doctor, what brings you to the park?
A charming lady.
Why, Doctor, are you here for rendezvous?
Indeed I am. For rendezvous gives me a great deal of pleasure to keep.
She must be an exceptional woman to deserve such praise.
She is most exceptional.
Though I'm not one to hold with scandal, Doctor, is she perhaps someone of my acquaintance?
She is yourself.
You've come here for a rendezvous with me.
I have. And to bring you some news which will make you very happy.
Now, what news could possibly... Dr. Sumner.
I've come straight here from a meeting of the legislature.
They voted on my bill?
Yes.
And?
My heartiest congratulations, my dear. It was passed.
Oh, my heart is too full for words. But may the Almighty God give me strength to face the work which now lies ahead of me.
Dorthea Dix's crusade had not been in vain. The hospital bill was passed, and the citizens of Massachusetts at last awoke to their obligation toward those who needed mental care. Following her success in Massachusetts, Dorthea Dix began a nationwide campaign to expose the problems of the mentally ill. By 1847, she had visited 18 state penitentiaries, 300 county jails and houses of correction, and over 500 almshouses. Through her efforts, state hospitals were established, and the mentally ill were released from their chains in Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and 7 other southern states. But her work was not yet finished. When the Civil War broke out in 1861, Dorthea Dix offered her services to Secretary of War Cameron. She was appointed Superintendent of Nursing and gathered together the first Nurses' Corps of the United States Army. During the 4 years of the war, she worked unceasingly to bring aid and comfort to the wounded and the dying. Even after hostilities had ended, she continued to serve her country until her work was finished. Before she left for home, she was called to Washington in the office of the Secretary of War.
I cannot begin to tell you, Miss Dix, what your work has meant to your country and your countrymen.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
There is no way we can repay you for your great service, but we do wish to make some recognition of what you have done.
I ask for no recognition.
Would you consider a vote of money from Congress?
I'm afraid the country's needs at this moment are greater than mine. But...
Yes, Miss Dix?
There is one gift I would cherish above all others.
And that is?
The flag of my country.
On January 25th, 1867, Dorthea Dix received a box containing a stand of the national colors, together with a copy of an order from the Secretary of War.
In token and acknowledgement of the inestimable service rendered by Miss Dorthea L. Dix for the care, succor, and relief of the sick and wounded soldiers of the United States on the battlefield, in camps and hospitals during the recent war, and of her benevolent and diligent labors and devoted efforts to whatever might contribute to their comfort and welfare, it is ordered that a stand of arms of the United States colors be presented to Miss Dix.
So it was that Dorthea Dix came to the end of a task which had taken her some 26 years to complete. A task which brought new reforms and established state hospitals. A task which brought a ray of light to the dark and hopeless world of the mentally ill, who were no longer treated as wild animals. Dorthea Dix also took her place on the battlefield as head of the United States Corps of Army Nurses. But the inheritance which she left us goes beyond these material goods. She also taught us compassion and understanding, selflessness, and love for one's fellow men. This is the true meaning of Dorthea Dix's inheritance.
Knows the trouble. I was hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me.
You have been listening to Inheritance, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with the American Legion. We're privileged this evening to hear from the National President of the American Legion Auxiliary, Mrs. Harold S. Burdett.
The heartwarming story of the life and work of Dorthea Dix, which we have just heard, is a moving demonstration of a quality not uncommon among Americans. The dedication of countless men and women to the care and protection of their less fortunate neighbors has throughout our history brought this nation to the forefront as a great humanitarian force. From the individual efforts of many like Dorthea Dix, we have, through our duly elected representatives, insisted that proper provision be made by local, state, and federal government for the care of the unfortunate. Private organizations and individuals are constantly at work to help those who, because of age, illness, or other disability, need personal assistance and encouragement. There is no more effective weapon against communism than the unselfish spirit of the American people. As president of the American Legion Auxiliary, an organization of 1 million American women, I am exceedingly proud of one of this organization's major programs, which is a helping hand activity in the truest sense of that phrase. The American Legion and the American Legion Auxiliary have since 1925 channeled over $100 million into child welfare work. Most of this was spent in material aid to needy children of veterans. The remainder was instrumental in maintaining informational services, research, and legislation beneficial to underprivileged youth. Rehabilitation of veterans has been another great concern of the American Legion and Auxiliary. Our accomplishments in veterans legislation, medical and hospital benefits, job finding, and general counseling are all well known. It has been a pleasure to appear on Inheritance and to hear a story of personal dedication and reform so characteristic of this country. So long as Americans recognize their responsibility to their fellow man and respond so generously, we need not fear those who preach the absolute dictatorship of the state, for we are a people with a big heart and a belief in the dignity of man.
Thank you, Mrs. Harold S. Burdett. Next week, Inheritance will take you on another journey to the pages of history, to a time when Americans, dreaming of the future, forged that which we possess today. Today's story of Dorthea Lynde Dix was written by Earl Hammer and featured Margaret Hayes as Dorthea Dix. Included in the cast were Lillian Baya, Irene Tedrow, Gail Bunny, James Nusser, Frank Gerstle, and Howard Culver. The original music was composed and conducted by Robert Armbruster. Inheritance is produced and directed for the National Broadcasting Company and the American Legion by Albert McCleary. John Wall speaking. Tomorrow, hear Two in the Balcony. It's on the NBC Radio Network.
What's the best way to keep your bills down?
Use a paperweight.
Correct. Pay that man $8. What is a pedestrian?
A married man who owns a car.
Correct. Pay that man $9 because...
It pays to be ignorant.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it's here again, that quiz program that's the cause for so many schools opening early this year. We have a board of experts who are so dumb, when they hit their crazy bone, they ache all over. First, we have the celebrated author, Mr. Harry McNaughton, who has just written a book entitled How I Fooled My Draft Board, or Seeing the World Through a Cell Window. But here he is, Mr. Harry McNaughton.
I have a poem, Mr. Howard.
I imagine.
Mary had a little lamb, some salad, and dessert, and then she gave her wrong address, the dirty little flirt.
A woman who is so big when she crosses the George Washington Bridge, she has to pay toll. Here she is, Miss Lulu McConnell.
You know, Mr. Howard, I was talking to Verna Nixon today.
Verna Nixon?
Yep. All she done was to talk about her husband.
Well?
How sweet and kind he was.
Uh-huh.
How tender.
She said he was tender.
Yeah, well, no wonder he's tender.
No. Why?
Well, she keeps him in hot water all the time.
She keeps him in hot water.
She burns me up.
All right, never mind. Next, we have a man who never fails to see his dentist twice a year, once for each tooth. A man who was so dopey when he takes gas, the gas goes to sleep. There he is, the poor man's fifth amphetamine, Mr. George Shelton.
Hey, Miss Howard, I got a phone call from a friend of mine up on the farm today.
You did?
Yeah, he said during the hurricane last night, he was out in the barn milking the cow.
Oh, during the hurricane?
Yeah, and it blew the barn right away.
Imagine.
Then it blew the cow away.
Yeah.
And there he was left holding the bag.
There he was. Mr. Sheldon, why don't you go out and have your head examined?
Okay, I'll be back in a minute.
Never mind. Now, sit where you are. It wouldn't take a minute. Well, there they are, folks. There they are, folks. If you folks at home are putting the children to bed, go right ahead because you're not going to miss a thing. Here is the first question.
But, Mr. Howard, you didn't introduce our guest.
Our guest? What guest?
Well, don't you remember last week you said you were bringing someone up here that would be sure and answer the question? Well, here she is. That ping-pong expert, actress, and beauty editor of the Hobo News, Miss Patsy Kelly.
Thank you, kind people. Hey, this is really a pleasure. I've always wanted to visit a museum.
Wait. Just a minute, Miss Kelly. This is not a museum.
It isn't? Well, what are all these four old mummies doing here?
Wait a minute, please.
What do you mean, old? Why, only last summer I was chosen Miss America.
Yeah, and Miss McConnell, you look like Miss America.
Yes, and half of Canada, too. Only kidding.
Never mind. Now, don't start anything. This is a quiz program, Miss Kelly, and don't forget you're here to answer some questions.
All right, but I tell you I'm innocent.
Wait a minute. We haven't accused you of anything. You seem to know Miss McConnell. Have you met Mr. McNaughton?
Oh, how do you do?
How do you do?
Say, I know your face so well, but I can't seem to place it.
Well, you better leave it where it is.
And Miss Kelly, this is George Shelton.
Well, hiya, Georgie.
Hi, kid.
How do you find yourself?
Oh, I wake up in the morning and there I am.
There you are.
Do you have to wake up?
Very good, Miss Kelly.
That's comical.
Listen, now let's come to order.
I'll take a short beer.
I'll lay it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. Make mine the same. Say, I'm going to like this.
Okay, now, just a minute. Let's all relax. Looks like we're going to have a rough night here tonight. Here is the first question. Now, pay attention.
Yes.
I want you to try and answer one question. What does a candy salesman sell? What product? The question's about salesmen.
Traveling salesman, Mr. Howard?
Well, it could be a traveling salesman.
Where's he traveling to, Mr. Howard?
That's the material.
Oh, I used to work in that town, Mr. Howard.
What is that?
Yeah, Immaterial, Pennsylvania.
The questions you ask are downright silly.
That's right, they're silly. The most important question is how old is this traveling salesman? Does he know any good stories? Say, Kelly. Yeah? Did you hear that new one about the traveling salesman? Oh, come on, McConnell. I'll kill you.
Wait a minute. Never mind. Please, let's pay attention to the program.
What's the matter with that man?
Never mind. The question is, what product does a candy salesman sell?
Hey, McConnell, do you know a new one about the traveling salesman?
Yes, Kelly.
A new one? Yeah,
Miss
one day
Kelly.
last February. Last
Hey, flannel mouth. Will you keep quiet? Miss Kelly, will you please give me a little attention
I'm
here?
giving you as little as possible.
I know that.
Now, McConnell, what happened to the salesman?
The question is about salesmen.
Well, you know, I used to be a salesman. I remember the first day I started out, I got 2 orders.
2 orders?
Yeah, get out and stay out.
You know, I was a salesman, too. I used to be a door-to-door salesman, but it was too tough.
Too tough?
Did you ever try selling a door to a door?
Mr. McNaughton, please. If you had a forehead, I'm sure it would go up in a point.
Thank you.
Hey, McConnell, what was the one about the traveling salesman?
Now, Miss Kelly, I'm not going to speak to you again.
Well, that'll be a relief.
Look, well, some of you try and answer the question. What product does a candy salesman sell?
Oh, candy. You know, I love a good piece of candy. My boyfriend bought me a box of peanut brutal the other day.
Peanut brutal? You mean brittle.
With her teeth, it's brutal. Very funny, McConnell. Very funny.
You know, I tried to get a job as a salesman in a butcher shop once. The fellow offered me $25 a week.
$25 a week?
Yeah, and then he asked me if I could dress a chicken.
Oh, I say, yes. What did you tell him?
I said, did you ever try dressing a chicken on $25 a week?
With malice in my heart, I bring you Dr. Novick and his orchestra. That's only the beginning, folks.
You were a
Do we have to listen to this?
You like that, Mr. Collins?
Something from our contestants. We have invited two members of the studio audience up here on the stage. What? They can ask the experts a question. If they get an intelligent answer, we give them the output of the Philadelphia Mint for one day. If they don't, we give them Patsy Kelly. Who is our first contestant, Mr. Roberts?
Well, Mr. Howard, our first contestant tonight is Private First Class Bob Ensworth of the United States Air Corps.
How do you do, Private Ensworth, and welcome to our program. How do you feel, sir?
He looks all right to me.
I'm not asking you.
Well, hey, sweetie, are you sending your allotment checks to anyone special?
Miss, please.
I'm talking to him, not you.
Hey, dear, look. Miss Kelly, you're not supposed to make passes at the contestants.
All right, let him make passes at me.
All right, never mind.
Yeah, me too.
Listen, please.
Yeah, I'm open for some good suggestions.
Listen, you two worn-out girdles. Look, we have a question here. Pay no attention to them, Private Ensworth. Could I ask you a question? Where's your hometown? Would you care to tell us?
New Britain, Connecticut.
New Britain, Connecticut.
Well, New Britain. Well, my goodness.
I still have for New Britain.
Well, strike me out and call me a dodger.
I imagine.
Yeah, you know, I used to work in that town.
Your tonsils are backfiring.
Yeah, I was a tailor in a lawyer's office. You were a tailor in a lawyer's office? Yeah, I used to press suits.
Uh-huh. That's terrible.
You know, Private Ensworth, I was in the Laos War, yes, and, well, I remember one day we were going to attack, and the captain said, 6 bayonets. And I didn't pay any attention to him.
You didn't pay any attention? Why?
Well, there wasn't anything wrong with mine.
There wasn't anything wrong.
I set it on,
All right, never mind, Miss McNaughton. You abused the privilege of being stupid. You understand? I'm sorry for the interruption, Private. How long have you been in the service?
16 months, sir.
Oh, 16 months. Congratulations. What did you do before you entered the service?
Well, I wrote for the Hartford Courant in Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, you were a writer?
Feature writer, reporter.
You didn't write gags for radio comedians, did you?
No, I didn't.
Well, we're glad to know that anyhow.
Well, what's your first name, honey?
Bob.
What?
Bob.
Bob. Oh, is that a cute name? Oh, ain't it cute? I'll slip you for it.
Cut it
me flour. I'm so soft and fluffy.
Call you flour, you're so soft and fluffy.
Yeah, gold medal flour.
Gold medal, yeah. And you've been through the mill, too.
Let's get back to the soldier. Now, there is a nice-looking soldier. You know, he reminds me of my boyfriend.
He reminds you?
Yeah.
He reminds you of your boyfriend?
He does. He took me for a ride on the Staten Island ferry, but I don't think he likes me anymore.
Well, what makes you say that, Patsy?
Well, there was something in the way he pushed me over the rail.
Would you...
That's very good, you know.
Never mind the fun. Bob, would you please reach into the dunce cap there and pick out a question for us, and would you be kind enough to read the question, if you will? Just take your time.
What do you put between two bookends?
That's very good. What do you keep between two bookends? Have you got the question, Mr. McNaughton?
Yes, I have, Mr. Howard.
Well, what about it?
That's what I say. What about it?
Please.
I think that's a silly question, if I may say so.
You may say so.
Thank you. I think that's a silly question.
I think this whole thing is silly, if I may say so.
You may say so.
Well, thank you. I think this whole thing is silly.
Cut it out, will you, please?
Well,
What is it? The question's, what do you keep between two bookends?
Mr. Howard, in the first place, there's no such thing as two bookends.
And why not?
Because a book has only one end. One beginning and one end.
Mr. McNaughton, please. What makes you so stupid?
I study night.
Yeah, I see.
You know, I'm reading a swell book now. The ending is terrific.
Yeah, how do you like the beginning?
Oh, I haven't come to that yet.
My word, you must read backwards.
Oh, I'd be glad to. Who wrote it?
Who wrote it? Look, what do I have to do to get an answer around here? Bleed?
I don't think you can do it.
You don't think
Hey, you know, Mr. Howard, I'm writing a book now.
Wait a minute. You're writing a book?
Yeah, it's called Flaxseed, Insomnia, and Asthma.
I say, what an odd title for a book.
Well, the publisher told me to put everything I had into it.
Well, speaking of books, have you read Way Down East by William Shakespeare?
Way Down East by William... Shakespeare didn't write Way Down East.
I don't care where he wrote it. It's a good story.
I see.
I read all of his stuff as soon as it comes out.
Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, comes the only sour note in our program, Dr. Novick and his orchestra. The latest Gallup poll was voted that Nat Novick's orchestra was the most likely to get ahead. They all need one. Here he is, Dr. Novick and his ferry boat Philharmonic 5, playing under or over the waves, rather. Starts off beautiful, doesn't it? Here's the next question. It's about ping pong. Incidentally, did I understand Mr. Roberts right when he introduced Miss Kelly to say that she was somewhat of a ping-pong player?
Oh, yes, Mr. Howard, that's my game. I
Yes?
just came back from a ping-pong tournament in Chicago.
No. Did you win?
No, I was disqualified. They caught me pinging when I should have been ponging.
I see.
Well, that's a natural mistake, you know.
Oh, thank you.
A bit of an error.
Yeah, a bit of an error.
All right, please, don't
Carry on.
go into it. Well, here's the question. Playing the game of ping pong, what do you use? A pitcher's glove, a monkey wrench, or a paddle?
A monkey wrench.
You use a monkey wrench to play ping pong?
I always use a monkey wrench.
You mean you hit the ball with a monkey wrench?
No, I tighten the nuts under the table
You
with
tighten
it.
the nuts on the table. Mr. Sheldon, why don't you have your brain recapped?
I tried, but the ration board turned me down.
I see. Miss Kelly, suppose you explain the game of ping pong.
Oh, you don't know anything about it either?
Not a thing.
Oh, good. Then I can talk freely.
I imagine.
I was playing just last night with a sister of mine.
What's your sister's name?
Annette. Annette Kelly. Lovely girl, Annette.
Annette. What a lovely name,
Yeah,
Annette.
lovely name. Lovely girl. Well, anyway, to get back to the game.
Yes.
To play ping pong, you got to have a table, a ball, a paddle, and a net.
You gotta have a net?
Certainly, you can't play without a net.
Well, suppose Annette doesn't feel like playing.
What do you mean don't feel like playing? You've got to have a net on the table.
Well, but suppose a net won't get up on the table.
Don't be silly. We put a net on the table.
Why does a net have to be on the table, Miss Kelly?
Why, look, do you guys know what a net is? She's crazy if she gets on the table. Wait a minute. Look, you bat the ball over a net.
Where is she now, on the floor?
Wait a minute. What do you mean on the floor? There is no net on the floor. We have a net tied to the table.
You gotta tie it to the table?
Yeah, sure. Say, look, a net is a long strip.
A net is a long drip?
Yeah. That's a fine way to talk about your sister. My sister. Now, wait a minute. I told you a net is a strip of gauze-like material.
I thought a net was your sister.
She is. Wait a minute. She is, but a net is something else again. You mean she's two-faced? She's two...
Wait a minute. Miss Kelly is not talking about her sister's name, stupid.
Oh, she's got a sister named Stupid. Someone get me out of this.
Contestant, Mr. Roberts.
Well, yes, we have, Mr. Howard. Now I'd like to present to you Seaman First Class Jackie Bell of the Wave.
Oh, marvelous. Good evening, Miss Bell, and welcome to A Pace Beginner. We're very, very happy to have you with us.
Oh, rather, yes. Lovely girl, isn't she, Miss Kelly?
Yeah, she's cute. But what's she got that I couldn't have fixed?
Just a minute, please. Miss Bell, I want to warn you, don't let these booby traps annoy you, will you, please?
Say, you know, Miss Bell, you remind me of a girl.
A girl.
Yeah, Micah.
That's marvelous.
Decided blonde.
Your girl is a decided blonde.
Decided blonde.
Yeah, she decided last week.
All right,
I
please.
enjoyed that, you know. It was a nice switch.
A nice switch. Good.
That's what she died.
Oh, never mind. I hope they're not annoying you, Miss Bell. What is your hometown? Would you care to tell us?
Palm Springs, California.
Palm Springs, California. All the way from Palm Springs.
I used to work in that town.
Wait a minute. What, you too?
Sure, I was a strong woman in a beauty parlor.
A strong woman in a beauty parlor?
Yeah, I used to lift faces.
Please.
Comical, yes.
The devil is in me tonight.
Yeah, it must be something. What did you do, Miss Bell, before you went into service? Would you mind telling us?
I was a buyer at a gift shop there in Palm Springs.
Oh, a buyer at a gift shop?
Yes.
That's a very nice position.
I like
How long have you been in the service?
Almost a year.
Well, congratulations. Have you been in New York long?
Yes, sir, the whole time.
Oh, have you been in New York before this trip?
No, it's
How do you like
time.
how do you
I like it very much.
Oh, you like New York? Have you met any of the boys?
Oh, quite a few.
How do you compare the boys in New York with the boys in Palm Springs? Are you married?
No.
Well, you can answer that.
I can. Well, I'm afraid I might be a little prejudiced.
Well, you don't have to stick your chin out if you don't want to.
You know, Mr. Howard, I used to go out with a young lady from Palm Springs.
You did?
Coincidence, you know.
Yeah.
She was a window dresser.
A window dresser?
Yeah, she never pulled down her shade.
She was a... Pay no attention to Miss Bell. We're more than glad to have you with us, I must say. And you look quite cute in your uniform there.
You sure do, honey. You look so attractive. I'll just bet the boys and the men are just crazy about you. Of course, for my part, I'm forgetting men.
Miss McConnell, you're forgetting men?
Yes? I'm forgetting as many as I can get.
You're forgetting. All right, let's get on here. Would you mind reaching to the dunce cap, Miss Bell, and kicking out a question for us? And would you mind reading the question, please?
What is longitudinal stability?
What is longitudinal stability? Young lady, I'm afraid you're on the wrong program.
Oh, no. Certainly it is not. That's a very easy question.
What's an easy question?
Longitudinal stability. It's very simple.
You mean you can answer that question, Miss Kelly?
Are you kidding? My longitudinal stability is stability with influences, disturbances in the plane of symmetry and is affected by the stabilizer-elevator combination. Very simple. Probably the easiest question I've ever heard.
Is that correct, Mr. Roberts?
Why, yes, Mr. Howard, it is.
Of course it's correct.
Why, Miss Kelly, you're wonderful.
You're just saying that because it's true.
I see.
Here's Johnny with the $25.
Wait a minute, Miss Kelly. Tell me something. How did you know that was the answer?
It was written here.
Was I? or a buffoon?
Well, Mr. Howard, pardon me a moment. According to Mr. Webster, a buffoon is a musical instrument.
No.
Oh, no, Mr. McNaughton. You're thinking of a bassoon.
No.
Oh, no, Kelly. A bassoon is a sort of a monkey.
Wait a minute, that's a baboon.
Oh, no, you're wrong, Mr. Howard. A baboon is something you go flying in.
No, that's balloon, a great big bag of hot air with a shape like an elephant.
Now we're back to Miss McConnell again.
Now you know what we mean when we say...
It pays to be ignorant, to be danced, to be dumb, to be ignorant. It pays to be ignorant just like me. Each week I earn $6. My brain is terribly lax. But when there ain't no income, why there ain't no income tax. To be ignorant, to be dumb, to be danced, to be ignorant. It pays to be ignorant just like me. I took my girl to dinner. We had a wonderful feast. But they had to give my girl the check because I couldn't read. So you see, it pays to be ignorant.
This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.